Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. After dying hundreds of millions of times, I copied my talent and killed all races. Chapter 61. Shen Lan, do you think I will collapse if this continues? Master, your mental power is strong enough, even if it is 10 times more painful than this, you can bear it. However, it is recommended that you try to find a talent that deletes memories, which should be able to effectively alleviate your pain. Hear Deep Blue's answer in his mind. Su Mu shook her head. Let's talk about it then. He took a long breath. Aren't these memories reminding me to improve my strength quickly? He stood up. This simple sentence seemed to smooth over his previous emotions. He sat on the bed beside him. Start counting your gains. With his current mental strength, he can probably go back more than 60 times. And he had already turned back almost 50 times before. From the beginning, I was not used to it, and sometimes, after returning to work, I would sit in the corner and retching unconsciously. By now, I have gradually adapted to it. And these 50 times of death come back. The benefits are also quite huge. Su Mu copied more than 20 talents. More than 10 of the talents are B-level and below, and even 4 or 5 of them are repetitive talents of little use. This is mainly because Su Mu became a traitor to the human race for the first time and was a little uncomfortable with it. In the beginning, I basically just went out and killed people, trying to attract attention. Then all the soldiers who came rushed forward. In addition, some soldiers, although not very talented, had practiced for more than 10 or 20 years and barely reached the 3rd or even 4th realm, but they were killed by Su Mu accidentally. And after dying more than 10 times. When Su Mu was seeking death, she was a little more purposeful. The first stop was to go to the genius training camp. Not to mention that he died in everyone's hands, but at least as long as it was an S-level talent or an A-level talent, Su Mu basically copied them over and over again. Among them, Su Mu copied 2 of the S-level talents, a few A-level talents, and as for the B-level talents, they were a bit smaller. About this experience, Su Mu can probably write a book called, How I Died in the Hands of Others. However, after coming out of the genius training camp, Su Mu's road to death encountered some obstacles. He was probably caught several times, forcing Su Mu to turn into a poisonous corpse. Of course, there are also some unexpected gains. First, he met a major named Chu Xuan, the strong man Su Mu heard mentioned by the lame middle-aged man who sent him here before. Major Chu Xuan's strength has reached the 5th realm. If Su Mu hadn't held a hostage, he probably wouldn't have been able to get in front of Major Chu Xuan. But fortunately, the ending is good. Su Mu successfully asked Major Chu Xuan to contribute his talent. As a man who became a strong man in the 5th realm at a young age and was even promoted to a major in a war zone, Major Chu Xuan's talent did not disappoint Su Mu. His talent is the highest level talent that Su Mu has obtained since copying it in the war zone. SS level talent, except for Major Chu Xuan. When Su Mu went back, he met a person who surprised him. The first place in the sophomore year of Longjing Martial Arts University, the genius student has a long way to go. Although Lu Yuan's talent is only S-level and his strength is only in the middle of the 2nd level, not as good as Chu Xuan, Lu Yuan's fighting instinct is really outstanding. Before meeting Lu Yuan, Su Mu had always believed that at least if she tried her best, no warriors below the 3rd level would be her opponent. But Lu Yuan completely shattered his idea. Although Lu Yuan only has the strength of the middle stage of the 2nd realm. But when Su Mu fought with Lu Yuan, she was almost crushed. Lu Yuan's own physical training, breathing techniques, and even martial arts may not be top-notch. Even his talent is not top-notch. But Su Mu was fighting Lu Yuan. You can feel it clearly. Lu Yuan is always able to maximize every advantage he has. This is not only related to his talent, but also to Lu Yuan's deliberate training. Although Su Mu has many talents, because of this, Su Mu will need more time to practice and become familiar with each talent. Fortunately, Su Mu has the talent of reverting to 12 hours after death. The 12 hours each time he waits can be used to learn knowledge and practice familiarizing himself with the use of these talents. Lu Yuan may have fought hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of times before he reached this point. Then Su Mu can also fight hundreds, thousands, even tens of thousands, or 100,000 times. 1,000,000 times. It may be difficult to defeat Chu Xuan. After all, the difference in strength is too big, but there is a long way to go. Before leaving the training camp, I must defeat you in an upright manner. Su Mu took a long breath. In order to stop herself from thinking about her experience that she had gone back nearly 50 times, Su Mu could only set a goal for herself, and in the process of going to that goal, she continued to downplay and smooth out her nearly 50 experiences. Su Mu took out a notebook and started writing in it quickly. Anyway, he was going to continue filing later, and he wasn't worried about what he would leave in his notebook. This is a new talent. D-level talents. Strength enhancement, speed enhancement, smell enhancement. C-level talents. Fireball, water snake, vine entanglement. B-level talents. Water control, metal control, earth control. A-level talents. Talent mist, power of the earth, moving space, power of thunder, absorption acceleration. S-level talents. Wind god, sun patterns, and extreme body. SS-level talent. Body of annihilation. Densely packed talents. Fill up one page of the notebook. Among these talents, B-level talent is no longer of much use to the current Su Mu. Su Mu is not prepared to spend too much time on this. Su Mu's main goal is to focus on talents of a level and above. There are mainly 5 A-level talents obtained this time. Talent mist. This talent was obtained from a soldier. Originally, Su Mu thought he was an A-level or above talent. But only after he obtained it did he realize that his talent was a talent mist. The talent of talent mist may be useless to ordinary people, but for Su Mu herself, it is not bad. This talent, as the name suggests, is the talent that prevents others from seeing through you. If the talent fog meets a talent like the eye of true sight, it can prevent being seen through by the eye of true sight. However, the talent fog also has its own limits. A-level or S-level talents cannot see through the talent fog, but if it is an SS-level talent similar to the eye of true sight, it is hard to say. This talent mist has a great or small effect on Su Mu. Strictly speaking, Su Mu's copying is not a surprise. However, Su Mu is more concerned about the other 4 talents in the A-level talents. Among the remaining 4 talents, first is the power of the earth. I got this from one of the campers at the talent camp. It is equivalent to an enhanced version of earth control, but compared to earth control, the power of the earth has a more powerful ability. That is, when your feet are on the ground, you can continuously recover your physical strength. Of course, this recovery of physical strength is also limited, which is roughly equivalent to the fact that you have consumed 10% of your physical strength, and through the power of the earth it can probably recover 20% to 30%. Don't underestimate the 20% to 30%. In battle, it is equivalent to increasing your endurance by 20% to 30%. The second is the moving space. This talent is really very practical for Su Mu. He can carry a space with him that can be upgraded as his strength increases. The space is about 100 cubic meters and cannot store living things. In the past, Su Mu might have to carry a school bag. Then he used some snake corpses as ropes to tie up the aliens he killed in circles. Then carry it back hard. Now there's this space to move. Su Mu can place the corpses of aliens she killed in the space and bring them over at any time. The only pity is that, when Su Mu first obtained this talent, she wondered if she could get stuck in a wave of bugs and put things in the moving space, and then when she returned, the things inside would still be there. I tried it, but it didn't work. When returning, apart from Su Mu's talent and memory, Su Mu can't take anything else with her. If his talent could be personified, Su Mu would have wanted to point out the 12-hour delay and scold him, or say that you cannot reach X level, and you cannot even restore items. After that, there is the power of thunder. This power is actually the same type of power as the power of the earth. It controls thunder, plus obtains power from thunder and lightning, but it is obviously not as practical as the power of the earth. But compared to the power of the earth, the power of the thunder is obviously much stronger. After the power of thunder, the last A-level talent is absorption acceleration. This talent, at first glance, seems to be an ordinary talent. But after Su Mu actually obtained his information, only then did I understand the power of this talent. Accelerated absorption, as the name suggests, he can fully absorb and accelerate the absorption of the qi and blood medicines and alien meat. Originally, if you take up to 3 sets of qi and blood medicines a day, your body may not be able to absorb them. But after possessing this talent, you can take 10 sets of qi and blood medicines a day, and the rate of increasing qi and blood values can be greatly increased. Originally, you could only eat a few dozen kilograms of alien meat a day at most, but with this talent, you can eat hundreds of kilograms of alien meat a day. Having this talent will definitely be of great help to Sumu in improving her strength. After sorting out the A-level talents, Sumu roughly wrote down the training directions for each A-level talent in a notebook. Then he turned his attention to S-level talents. In these nearly 50 times of retrieval, Sumu only found 3 S-level talents. 2 of them came from the talent training camp, and 1 came from the opponent Sumu wanted to defeat, Lu Yuan. Among S-level talents, the first one is naturally Fengshan, which comes from the talent of square ball. Sumu had already made up her mind to win it. Sumu has naturally known about this talent for a long time. The second is the pattern of the sun. This talent, to be honest, is not only a talent that can have an effect on Sumu personally, but also a talent that can have an effect on the people around her. Sumu can imprint sun patterns on other people, up to 3 imprints at a time. As the strength increases, the brand will disappear after being activated, and only Suemus can always exist. When activating sun patterns, the strength will be greatly improved and enter a special state. In this state, reaction, strength, speed and other aspects will be improved. Sumu has tried it, and with the first level the strength in the midterm can defeat opponents in the late stage of the second realm. It was also with this sun pattern that Sumu was able to survive more than 10 moves in Lu Yuan's hands. Don't mention it, Sumu burst into tears when she mentioned Lu Yuan. This guy is a pervert who has fought countless times. The last one is naturally Lu Yuan's ultimate body. The greatest effect of the talent of extreme body. It means that every time you improve, your strength, speed, physique, and defense will be raised to the limit that your body can bear. But correspondingly, the difficulty of your improvement will also increase. It is estimated that it is precisely because of this restriction that Lu Yuan is now only at the mid-level of the second realm. But this restriction is nothing to Sumu. His improvement speed is already fast enough, and with the addition of absorption acceleration, even if the improvement of the extreme body is a little more difficult, for Sumu, that difficulty is just a small and scattered obstacle. It is precisely because of this talent that Lu Yuan has that even though he only has the health value of the middle stage of the second stage, his strength is already comparable to that of an average early stage third stage person. Coupled with the fact that he himself seems to have experienced countless combat trainings, the role of this talent has been explored to its extreme. If this talent were placed on other people, it might just be an S-level talent, but if it were placed on Lu Yuan, this talent could even be compared to an SS-level talent. When Sumu saw this talent, she was not prepared to copy Lu Yuan's talent. Because he noticed that one of the limits mentioned in the body will also increase its own defense to the limit of the body when it is improved. The last thing Sumu needs is defense, and in the process of training, he has been able to avoid copying some talents that greatly increase defense power. On the one hand, what he wants to do is to sacrifice all defenses and attack with all his strength. On the other hand, it is also to facilitate his own death. Fortunately, Deep Blue provided him with a plan. This plan involves exactly the SS-level talent he obtained from Chu Xuan, the body of annihilation. The body of nirvana. The body will have the power of nirvana that can destroy everything. Once the power of nirvana is turned on, it can attach the power of nirvana to everything it can touch, as well as weapons, but at the same time, itself his body will continue to be destroyed by the power of nirvana. When the strength reaches a certain level, the power of nirvana can even destroy time and space. According to Shenlin, Sumu can usually use the extreme body to enhance his strength as much as possible. When fighting, once the body of annihilation is turned on and the power of annihilation is used, Suemu's body will fall into a state of constant decay. Sumu estimates that if it weren't for this restriction, body of annihilation could be called an SSS-level talent. Unfortunately, when the body of nirvana is used, the power of nirvana will continue to destroy one's body. If the damage reaches a critical point, the body will even reach a point where it cannot be repaired. This point doesn't matter to Sumu. As long as it doesn't reach the critical point, Sumu can repair it. Even if it reaches the critical point, it will just die. After all the talents were sorted out by Su Mu in her notebook. Su Mu took a long breath. Begin to become familiar with and practice these gifts. About another 12 hours passed. Su Mu walked out of the training room again. This time, his goal was to go straight to the far direction. In this eastern war zone, the most suitable place for him to practice his talents and hone his fighting skills is that the road is far away. When there are still about 3 or 5 opportunities to turn back. Su Mu was finally not ready to go back any further. Instead, he started taking the remaining qi and blood medicines made from snake berries. With the absorption acceleration, Su Mu feels that he can enter the late stage of the first realm in 2 days at most. When Su Mu stepped out of the training room again, his strength has reached the late stage of the first realm. The blood value soared directly to 786.58. During this period of time, in addition to practicing physical training, he also practiced visualization and breathing techniques. In addition to the improvement in blood value, it seems to be because I have reverted nearly 50 times before. His mental strength improved just as rapidly. It reached 865.58 and entered the late stage of the first realm. At this rate, it's possible that mental power will reach the level of a second-level warrior before the blood value. However, what makes Su Mu a little confused is that at present, his mental strength does not seem to be able to actively attack. Apart from relying on his talent, he doesn't seem to have any means of attack. Regarding this, Su Mu really doesn't have any good reference. At least among the human race and all races, those who can use spiritual power to attack, except for talents, basically only become effective after they have reached the third realm warrior. It goes without saying that many races, especially those that are born with mental power to attack, are born strong in the 3 realms or even the 4 realms and 5 realms. On the human side, it might be even more difficult. Anyway, there was no improvement until 10 years later. At present, regarding mental power, Su Mu can only explore it on her own. After the strength is improved, the first thing Su Mu did was to rush to complete the D-level mission. It took less than a day for Su Mu to complete 9 more D-level tasks. His meritorious service also successfully reached 112 points. Su Mu's merit level directly reached E level. The merit level has reached E level, which means that the tasks Su Mu can take on can reach C level at most, which is also Su Mu's purpose. Su Mu's suicide talents have not been completely collected yet. In his arrangement, suicidal talent, at least 2 more talents are needed. One is from a race called Blood Crazy Cats. This race has an A-level talent called Life Burning Madness. It is different from the A-level talent Poison Corpse's Suicide. The Life Burning Madness is to skyrocket your blood value in a very short period of time. However, once the skyrocketing time passes, you will die suddenly. The principle of the previous top secret guard's life-threatening needle is the same as that of the life-burning needle. This life-burning madness is somewhat similar. The poisonous corpse talent that Su Mu obtained before was a suicide talent that she could use when she was caught and unable to commit suicide to resist. And this life-burning madness is a suicidal talent that is prepared to fight to the death against the enemy when there is no way to escape. The advantage of the poison corpse is that Su Mu does not have to worry about being caught. Even if he encounters an opponent who is too strong and directly restricts his actions, he can still commit suicide. The advantage of this life-burning madness is that Su Mu can still have one last chance. Su Mu can fight again and again, and when he encounters an opponent whose strength has not crushed him but wants to capture him alive, Su Mu can fight for a while. If he has fought hard, he can hone his fighting experience. If he has not fought, he will be reacted by others. Killing would be better. With poisonous zombies and life-burning madness, Su Mu can basically be said to be that you can attack when you advance, and you can defend when you retreat. There is no need to worry about not dying. But the only flaw is that if someone knocks Su Mu out directly, like last time, Su Mu may become paralyzed. At this time, the third suicide talent selected by Su Mu is needed. The third suicidal talent is in a race called Life and Death Insects. This race has only one talent. It's the S-level talent, Life and Death Contract. This talent of the Life and Death Child-Mother Contract can imprint the child-mother bond on oneself or other creatures. If the person in the mother contract dies, the person in the child contract will die. Even if he uses healing talents, there is no way to save him. The only flaw is that when granting the son contract and mother contract, the other party cannot show any resistance at all, and his own strength must be stronger than the other party. But it is not a big problem for Su Mu. Su Mu has the talent of mental bewitchment and is not afraid that the other party will resist. After possessing this talent, Su Mu still needs to catch an alien race called the morning and evening insects. As the name suggests, the morning and evening bug only lives day and night, and lives in the morning and lays eggs and dies in the evening, or it lives in the evening and lays eggs and dies in the morning. The time difference between each stage is no more than 12 hours. All Su Mu needs to do is to imprint the maternal deed on Chao Shichong's body, and then imprint the sub-deed on herself. Every time the morning and evening bug dies, it takes back the original brand and finds a new day and night bug to brand it again. If it is not rebranded midway, then the morning and evening bug will die in at most 12 hours, or at least maybe even less than an hour. By then, even if Su Mu has an accident and falls into a coma, you can also immediately return to the state before coma after death. Although having to brand twice a day can be a bit cumbersome. But on the one hand, Su Mu's sub-deed can sense the status of the mother contract, so there is no need to worry about missing a beat. On the other hand, this approach can completely guarantee that Su Mu will not be in the same situation as before, where she was in a coma for a month. When choosing this talent, Su Mu had already considered various situations, and they are basically arranged based on his talent of 12 hours of delay after death. Just in case, once these 3 suicide talents are arranged, Su Mu can almost commit suicide-seeking behaviors without any worries. Enemies restricting your actions. Directly poison the corpse. The enemy wants to capture you alive. Directly burn life into madness. The enemy knocked you unconscious. Wait a few hours or even 12 hours and die directly with the morning and evening bug. And the last life and death contract between son and mother. In addition to being used on Su Mu's own body, it can also be used on others. Through the life and death contract, Su Mu can even adopt some foreign races as his own, or instigate some to rebel against pagan worshippers. But with Su Mu's current strength, the child-mother contract can only be branded 10 pairs at most. In addition to your own brand, you can also brand up to 9 pairs. Of course, this will gradually improve as Su Mu improves. Just like before, Su Mu's death rollback could only be rolled back a few times at first, but now as Su Mu's mental power gradually becomes stronger, the number of rollbacks has gradually increased from the original few times to the current dozens. Even hundreds of times. The tasks related to these 2 races selected by Su Mu are basically C-level tasks. This is also the reason why Su Mu wants to take on the mission after being promoted to E-level. After accepting 3 C-level missions in the mission hall, Su Mu rushed to the battlefield of all races without stopping. Among them, Su Mu quickly obtained the life-burning madness from a blood-mad cat. After obtaining the talent of life-burning madness, Su Mu quickly rushed to the location of the 3rd talent and the day and night insect she was looking for. Wanchong Lin Valley. The Wanchong Forest Valley is filled with densely packed ancient trees that tower into the clouds. Su Mu's eyes fell on the ancient trees. The habitat of these alien races is in these trees. What Su Mu needs to do is to judge the type of these insects based on the traces of the insects on these trees. On this point, Su Mu had specialized in this aspect of knowledge when she went back to File. Coupled with dark blue, about 10 hours later, Su Mu finally found the purpose of his trip. Worms of life and death. The whole body of the living and dead insects is black and white. It is highly poisonous and cannot be touched by ordinary people. If you are exposed and do not receive timely treatment, you will gradually die within an hour. However, for Su Mu, this is the best news. Another retreat. Su Mu's S-level talent includes a life and death bond. The next step is to find the morning and evening insects. Su Mu had known it before. Morning and night insects, deep in the valley of 10,000 insects forest. However, before catching the morning and evening bugs, Su Mu was still planning to check out the bugs in the 10,000 insect forest valley to see if there were any talents suitable for her. Su Mu moved slowly towards the depths of the 10,000 insect forest valley. I don't know how long I've been gone. Suddenly I found myself in a hidden valley. This valley is hidden in the 10,000 insect forest valley. Su Mu killed a group of Zerg with the long sword attached to the red flame blood, while walking towards the valley. However, I only took a few steps. Through his super 5 senses, he heard a strange voice. General Kong, with your help, this operation will definitely go smoothly. I saw it in the deepest part of the hidden valley. A huge and bloated tree, rooted in the soil. On the big tree, there is a dark green insect. The insect is so large that it looks like an enlarged flea. In front of the bug, standing was a figure wearing a black cloth bag. It's a bit scary. What made the sound just now was not an insect, or in other words, it was not exactly an insect. Instead, a human face began to appear faintly on the insect's skin. The figure wearing a black cloth bag also seemed to see a human face emerging on the insect's skin. But he seemed to have already gotten used to it. He just said calmly, "Well, if that's the case, then so be it." But at this time, the figure in black cloth suddenly frowned. It looks like a little mouse has sneaked in. Hear his words. The skin of the dark green bug in front of him suddenly began to twitch. Immediately, a human face emerged from the dark green insect, making a ferocious sound as if it was desperately trying to break free. Tisk, 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 General Kong, he is your human race's little mouse. And far away, Su Mu listened to all this using her super 5 senses. Suddenly I felt bad. Next moment, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his neck. Immediately, he fell down uncontrollably. Su Mu suddenly felt that she had lost the ability to move. Although she could still see the scenery in front of her clearly and hear the sounds around her, her body could not move at all. Seeing this situation, Su Mu quickly activated her poison corpse talent. At the same time, the moment Su Mu fell, the figure in a black cloth bag instantly appeared in front of Su Mu. He grabbed Su Mu's body. Immediately, he appeared in front of the dark green bug again. I'm really sorry to trouble you, General Kong. I like to eat young people like you, 18 or 19 years old, the most. The meat is fresh and tender without losing its elasticity. The human face appearing on the dark green insect skin said excitedly. Then enjoy it slowly. The man in the black cloth bag glanced coldly at Su Mu, who was gradually losing consciousness. The figure instantly disappeared into the hidden valley. And just after the man in the black cloth bag disappeared, the dark green bug slowly climbed down from the tree. When coming to Su Mu, the insect's mouth suddenly became larger, showing rows of extremely sharp teeth. In Su Mu's extremely disgusted eyes, swallowed Su Mu whole. Su Mu completely lost consciousness. Ding, you have been killed by the human-faced insect, and the copy was successful. Congratulations on getting the SSS level talent, fusion of the same kind. SSS level talent, similar fusion. Similar fusion. Confuse the same kind of talent with the same kind. When fusing the same kind of talent, it can promote the evolution and improvement of the talent. When fusing the same kind, you need to eat the same kind, so that you can obtain the same kind of body and parts, replace your own body parts, and fuse the more similar body parts there are, the greater the improvement will be for similar body parts. Call. Su Mu gasped for air. I died so many times. This is the first time Su Mu has experienced this way of death by being eaten. However, the harvest this time was far beyond Su Mu's imagination. SSS level talent, or a fusion of the same kind. You know, Su Mu has always been troubled by things. It's just that my own talent has been copied too much. Miscellaneous but not refined. Some talents are actually not of much use to him, because it may be duplicated with some talents that are higher level than it. But I never expected it. He unexpectedly obtained an SSS level talent, similar fusion. The upper limit of the talent of similar fusion is extremely high. It can not only help Su Mu solve the current problem of too many talents but not enough talent. At the same time, it can also help Su Mu improve the level of some talents. For example, Su Mu's Eye of True Seeing. When Su Mu copied a talent before, she might have to consider whether the talent duplicated her own talent. Is the level too low to be worth copying? But now, as long as it is the talent of eyes, Su Mu can definitely copy it. Then merge into the Eye of True Seeing. As long as Su Mu has enough talent infused eyes, then the original A-level talent, Eye of True Sight is very likely to go one step further and evolve into an S-level talent. Su Mu had also used dark blue to look for this type of fusion talent before. However, this type of talent is too rare. Even among all races, it is not certain which race will definitely awaken this talent. So Su Mu had no choice but to give up in the end. I didn't expect that today would be a very unintentional one. However, the most useful thing about this talent for Su Mu is naturally the function of fusion talent. For that big dark green insect, I'm afraid the most useful thing is to fuse the same kind. No wonder, a human-faced bug that was supposed to be the size of a puppy has turned into something bigger than an elephant. In addition to gaining an SSS level talent, what concerned Su Mu even more was the man in the black cloth bag. He had heard the human-faced insect calling the man before. General Kong. General Kong. Su Mu frowned and started to think. He didn't know much about the Eastern Theater. Shenlin, do you know there is a general named Kong in the Eastern Theater Command? Master, there is no information about this in my information database. Well, Deep Blue is always not very good at checking information about people. His information database is full of information about all races, talents, and some martial arts and physical refining techniques. There is very little information about the human race. It is obviously a modification specially made by my future self on this intelligent insect. Let's find out more when we get back. Since he is a general, he should not be unknown. Su Mu quickly put this question aside. He has a death rollback. And that General Kong didn't seem to take many measures to conceal his identity. It's just a matter of time before Su Mu wants to figure out his identity. Compared to finding out the true identity of General Kong, what Su Mu wanted to find out more was what kind of deal General Kong and the human-faced insect were doing. However, one thing that gives Su Mu some headaches is that with Su Mu's current strength, it seems a bit difficult to find out the conversation between General Kong and the human-faced insect. Whether it's General Kong or that human-faced insect, the strength is quite strong. Su Mu's attempt to find out what they were saying under their noses was nothing more than wishful thinking. With super strong five senses, he could hear the two of them talking even though they were far away. But that distance will also be discovered by them. What can we do about it? It doesn't matter. Just try and make mistakes over and over again and find a way. Su Mu's figure quickly disappeared into the forest. It looks like a little mouse has sneaked in. Tisk, 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 General Kong, he is your human race's little mouse. I'm really sorry to trouble you, General Kong. I like to eat young people like you, 18 or 19 years old, the most. The meat is fresh and tender without losing its elasticity. Enter the belly of the human-faced bug again. It looks like a little mouse has sneaked in. Again, ding, you have been killed by the human traitor General Kong. The copy was successful. Congratulations on getting the S-level talent, Space Teleport. S-level talent, Space Teleportation. Space Teleportation. Move arbitrarily within a range of 10 meters. Each move requires waiting 10 seconds before making the next move. The range of movement and waiting time will be gradually optimized as the strength increases. Again, I don't know how many times he entered the belly of the human-faced insect, or was directly killed by General Kong. Things were finally slowly starting to change. It looks like a little mouse has sneaked in. This little mouse's reaction is quite sharp. It actually escaped my anesthesia bug. I can't move easily, so I'll give it to you, General Kong. If he passes the news back, things will be in trouble for you, General Kong. At this moment, Su Mu was flying through the jungle quickly. General Kong, who was chasing Su Mu behind him, frowned. He never expected it. The little mouse escaping in front actually has the same talent as him in spatial teleportation. Not only that, but he can always avoid the location he moves to next at critical moments, and then teleport to another direction. It was as if he had already sensed that he would move to that position to catch him. After chasing Su Mu for about half an hour, General Kong seemed to finally be angry. Originally, he thought that with his own strength, it would be easy to catch a warrior in the late first realm. But the first-level warrior in front of him was so weird that he had to use some special methods, even if this method would cause some damage to his body. But at this time, the little mouse that was running away in front suddenly stopped. Finally stopped running. General Kong snorted coldly. But then, a scene that frightened him appeared in front of him. I saw the little mouse in front of me slowly turning around. That face was exactly the same as his. About there. The face that looked exactly like General Kong spoke. Who the hell are you? General Kong frowned slightly. He was a little horrified to find that the person in front of him looked exactly like him except for his clothes. The rest of the place is exactly the same as mine. Not only that, the aura he exuded was actually the same as his own. It's the middle stage of the 5 realms. Moreover, he has the same talent as himself, spatial teleportation. Impossible. General Kong snorted coldly. A cold light flashed around his waist. A large knife had appeared in his hand. Then without hesitation, he slashed at General Kong, who looked exactly like him. But General Kong in front of him did not dodge. Poof! The broadsword hit the fake General Kong directly. The fake General Kong fell down with a strange smile on his face. His appearance slowly changed back to that of a young man. It is indeed an embroidered pillow, with the same talent as me, but how did his appearance and breath change? Could it be that he has awakened 2 talents? Impossible. General Kong looked at the body that had gradually become cold and muttered to himself in confusion. ... Call. Su Mu gasped for air. Death rolled back almost 80 times. If it weren't for the previous increase in mental power, Su Mu might not have been able to go back so many times. Su Mu felt that she was almost done with the preparations that needed to be made. His purpose, just to find out what the plan of General Kong and the human-faced insect is. But no matter how he inquired, he found that neither of them seemed to deliberately discuss their plans. In desperation, Su Mu was ready to find another way. This was the scene just now. The scene just now has been experienced by Su Mu no less than 40 times. This is also the reason why he can repeatedly escape from General Kong's space teleportation. During many retreats, Su Mu had already figured out the location of General Kong's teleportation. Because he takes the same route every time he escapes. And General Kong's position almost didn't change every time he teleported. Coupled with the spatial teleportation he copied from General Kong. This allowed him to escape from General Kong many times. And this escape is not a directionless escape. In so many times of backtracking, Su Mu has been observing General Kong's words and deeds, and at the same time, she also figured out the time when General Kong met the human-faced insect. Next, it was time for him to perform. He wants to use his talent for transformation to become General Kong and discuss plans with that human-faced insect. Then, extract the full plan from the mouth of the human-faced insect. Rustle. The breeze blew through the leaves, making a subtle sound. A man wearing a black robe disappeared from one place in an instant, and then quickly appeared in another place. After walking a few steps, he disappeared again. Soon, the man walked into the hidden valley, appeared in front of a huge ancient tree. Not long after the man showed up, the leaves on the huge old tree suddenly began to tremble violently. A dark green insect appeared in front of the man. The man looked at the huge dark green bug in front of him. Eyes narrowed slightly. No one knew that a light blue interface had appeared in the man's sight at this moment. Race: human-faced Zerg, mutated. Chi and blood value: 8,725,423, late stage of the 5th realm warrior. Talent: SSS level, similar fusion. Habits: living in the forest valley of 10,000 insects, the battlefield of all races. Weakness: tongue. General Kong, it seems that you came earlier than the time we agreed. The dark green human-faced insect has a human face emerging from the skin on its body. The face cannot be seen clearly, but its mouth opens and closes, making sounds. It's not as easy for me to come out as you think. Besides, you should also know that now is the time when the plan is about to begin, so it is important to be cautious. That's what General Kong said. The human-faced insect seemed to agree with Su Mu's statement. Before the plan is officially implemented, I think there are still some problems with the time when the plan is implemented. The previous time is not suitable. I just got the latest news. At that time, there will be 8 realms of powerhouses following. General Kong, are you kidding me? The human face on the human-faced insect's skin seemed to break through his skin and rush to Su Mu's face. You're just telling me such important news now. The plan will be implemented in less than half a month, and you said there will be 8 powerful people accompanying you. Su Mu resisted the urge to vomit. He said coldly, I don't want to either, but accidents always come so suddenly. We need to redeploy our plans. General Kong, I suddenly thought of a question. The human face on the skin of the human-faced insect suddenly said. Tell me, when is the day when our plan will be implemented? 20 days later. You are not General Kong. Who are you? 21 days later. You are not a general. Who are you? 33 days later. Wow, it seems that General Kong has a good memory. Watching the human-faced insect finally change its attitude, Su Mu breathed a sigh of relief. Your sister, you bug, is quite vigilant. He said coldly. If you don't trust me, then there is no need for us to continue talking. General Kong, don't be angry. The human face on the human-faced insect forced out a strange smile. You also know that this matter was arranged by the above, in order to completely wipe out the Hidden Dragon Legion in the Eastern Theater Command. Nowadays, most of the top combat forces in the Eastern Theater Command have been restrained by the higher-ups in the endless battlefield. If we cannot wipe out the Hidden Dragon Legion within the stipulated time, your lord's anger will not be something you and I can bear. Snort. Su Mu didn't say much, just snorted coldly. Don't worry, the accompanying 8th Realm expert won't be able to stay long. We just need to slightly modify the original plan. That's good. After Su Mu talked with the human-faced insect for nearly half an hour or so, a voice sounded behind Su Mu. Who are you? Why are you here? Su Mu turned around. General Kong, who was wearing a black cloth bag, appeared behind Su Mu at some point. After seeing the appearance of Su Mu, the real General Kong, his pupils suddenly shrank. The human-faced insect behind him immediately realized something. The face suddenly became extremely angry. How dare you lie to me? Su Mu saw that she had been discovered. Reluctantly, he pulled out his sword and wiped his neck. See you next time. Su Mu raised her eyebrows at General Kong. Call. Su Mu pressed her temples. In addition, he died several times later to extract the plan. Su Mu has checked back nearly 100 times in just one day. But the result is finally gratifying. Su Mu already had a rough understanding of the plan between the human-faced insect and General Kong. The target of the two of them is one of the Ace Legions in the Eastern Theater, the Hidden Dragon Legion. In each war zone, in addition to the soldiers who form various squads, there are actually some Ace Legions formed solely for medium-sized and large-scale battles. The Ace Legion's meritorious service mainly relies on medium-sized and large-scale battles. They will not complete tasks privately. Their daily task is training. Compared to the soldiers in the squad or individual soldiers, the soldiers in the Legion basically receive training on medium-sized battles or large-scale battles. Their merit level increases slowly, but if they want to improve their military rank, they must join the Legion. Generally speaking, individual and squad soldiers can only improve their merit level. The higher the merit level, the better the treatment and the ability to take on higher tasks. But if you want to obtain a military rank, that is, to seek higher positions and power in the war zone, on the one hand, you need to reach a certain level of meritorious service, and on the other hand, you need to enter the Ace Corps for training. Merit level can sometimes only represent your personal strength, or your ability to coordinate operations in a team. The issuance of military ranks often represents how many soldiers you will lead. The higher the military rank, the more soldiers you can lead in the Legion, and the greater your power. This is the role of military rank. Sometimes, your personal strength may be strong enough and your merit level is high enough, but if you do not have enough merit in the Ace Legion, your military rank will not be that high. After all, merit level does not fully represent your ability to lead soldiers in battle. So sometimes, people with strong strength may not necessarily have high military rank, but people with high military rank generally have good strength. Just like Major Chu Xuan and General Kong whom Su Mu met. Although both of them are in the 5th realm, one is a major and the other is a general. This is mainly related to the time when they joined the Legion and the achievements they made. The Qianlong Legion targeted by General Kong and the human-faced insects belongs to the reserve forces of other Ace Legions in the Eastern Theater. Many outstanding senior officers, after being trained in the Qianlong Legion, will be transferred to other Ace troops. If the Qianlong Legion is really wiped out according to the plan of General Kong and the human-faced insects, it will definitely be an extremely heavy blow to the Eastern Theater. Fortunately, Su Mu now fully understands their plan. Next, what needs to be thought about is how to prevent their purpose according to their plan, and at the same time, defeat them as an army. Su Mu frowned. Then it quickly stretched out. He thought of someone. Mr. Zhang. The current Su Mu is just a genius with some talent. However, there is actually no shortage of geniuses in Daxia. After all, as the young soldier Shaolin said before, only the surviving geniuses are the real geniuses, and what Daxia lacks is the real genius. When Su Mu really becomes a genius that dazzles the whole of Daxia, and has enough strength, then he will truly have the right to speak. But now Su Mu, even if she wants to talk to people in the Eastern War Zone about this plan, she probably won't be able to find anyone who can talk to her. Even in the nearly 80 times he had returned to the previous war zone, it seemed that the highest-ranking person he had ever seen was at the level of Major Chu Xuan. If it comes down to it, Su Mu can't even meet someone at the level of General Kong. Moreover, Su Mu certainly cannot choose to report at all levels. There is General Kong, a human traitor. Even if Su Mu reported it, who would choose to believe him, a talented training camp member who had just been trained on the battlefield of thousands of races? Don't believe in the generals who have been fighting on the human battlefield for many years. Therefore, Su Mu must choose someone who can directly talk to the senior people in the Eastern Theater Command. And it's best to have one that's higher, the better. Thinking about it this way, the only person Su Mu knows who can do this is probably Mr. Zhang. With Mr. Zhang's strength and identity, it is estimated that even if you want to meet the top person in charge of the Eastern Theater Command, it is not impossible. If we can gain Mr. Zhang's trust, then the identity of the human traitor General Kong and their plan revealed through Mr. Zhang's mouth will naturally have higher credibility. The only question Su Mu needs is whether he can successfully contact Mr. Zhang and gain his trust. Shaked his head, Su Mu started executing it when she was ready to go back. Now, let's go catch some day and night bugs. Wait until Su Mu returns to the Eastern Theater. It's already night. Su Mu found a way to get Mr. Zhang's personal contact information from Instructor Ding. Fortunately, Instructor Ding had a very good impression of Su Mu. In addition, Su Mu also attracted more attention from Mr. Zhang. So after Instructor Ding consulted Mr. Zhang's ideas, he handed Mr. Zhang's personal contact information to Su Mu. After getting Mr. Zhang's personal contact information, Su Mu immediately called Mr. Zhang. Beep. Hello. Mr. Zhang. Ha, it's Su Mu. Ha 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 ha, what's wrong? I heard Xiao Ding say that you have something urgent to do with me. Did you encounter any trouble in the Eastern Theater? There is indeed something very important that I want to talk to Mr. Zhang. I wonder if Mr. Zhang are free recently. If you are, I would like to ask you to secretly come to the Eastern Theater Command. It is best not to let anyone discover. What happened? It's a very important matter, Mr. Zhang. Please trust me once. I'm willing to guarantee it with my life and future prospects. Please. Hang up the phone. Su Mu breathed a sigh of relief. I have to say that Mr. Zhang really values him very much. After Su Mu said it, Mr. Zhang immediately responded. And he promised that 3 days later at night, he would find a way to secretly come to the Eastern Theater to find him. For someone as strong as him in the 9 realms, every move he makes will probably attract a lot of attention. Without knowing whether there were other human traitors, it was the safest way to let Mr. Zhang sneak in to see him. As for why it was 3 days later, this is not a big deal for Su Mu. There is not much difference to him between 3 days and 1 day. As long as Mr. Zhang can come to see him before the plan is carried out, then he would have full confidence that he could stop General Kong's plan. Take advantage of this time to integrate your talents and improve your strength. Su Mu took a long breath. He has been coming back from the battlefield of all races, and his nerves are tense. But now that Mr. Zhang has been contacted, General Kong's matter can be brought to an end for the time being. Speaking of which, when Mr. Zhang comes, are you going to apologize to Mr. Zhang a little bit? Su Mu suddenly had an evil thought. She turned around and tried to get some talent from Mr. Zhang. Zhang Lao can step into the 9th realm. He must be an S-level talent at least, right? Or be bold and say, another SSS level. If we can really get his talent from Mr. Zhang, it will definitely be of great help to Su Mu. Not only Mr. Zhang, but also Su Mu can find ways to get a wave of talents when meeting Instructor Ding, Instructor Wang, etc. in the future. To be honest, Su Mu is currently among those who want to copy the talent but cannot. Mr. Zhang is definitely the first one to bear the brunt, and apart from Mr. Zhang, the only one left is the little princess of the Ji family. However, when she was still behind the human race, Su Mu was not completely sure that she could copy the talent from the little princess of the Ji family. In addition, there were no suicidal talents such as poison corpse at that time. If you accidentally got yourself in, if you still couldn't commit suicide, it would be over. Now, there is no such concern. But what the heck, he's not behind the human race. Although he coveted Ji Qinghan's talent, he could only wait until he returned to the rear of the human race before making plans. Ever since the massive copying of talent in the Eastern Theater Zone, Su Mu seems to have gradually become accustomed to occasionally being a human traitor to copy a wave of talents. He has two talents, death rollback and copy talent. The fastest way to quickly improve your strength is to keep copying talents and dying. Death, for Su Mu, is just a way to improve strength. Not strong enough, just not enough deaths. Leave the place where you are calling. Su Mu came to the mail room first. When I was on the phone with Instructor Ding before, he told Su Mu that with his efforts and Mr. Zhang's silent help, many senior officials of Longjing Martial Arts University, after discussion, were ready to give Su Mu the large amount of compensation was at least twice as generous as Su Mu had originally expected. However, such a large amount of compensation will not be given to Su Mu in one go. Instead, they will be sent to the battlefields of all races in batches within a month. After Su Mu received the compensation from the school, I found a place where no one was around and put all the compensation into my mobile space. Then he ran to rent a training room. Before officially starting to practice, what Su Mu has to do is to start integrating her talents. Deep Blue, help me see which talents can be analyzed and fused. Yes, Master, we are analyzing the talents that you can integrate. Analysis successful, now providing you with integration solutions. Option 1. SS level talent, Body of Annihilation plus S level talent, Extreme Body plus A level talent, Super 5 Senses plus D level talent, Strength Enhancement, Speed Enhancement. Equals SSS level talent, Extreme Body of Nirvana. Option 2. S level talents, Wind God plus A level talents, Red Flame Bloodline, Power of Earth, Power of Thunder plus B level talents, Wind Control plus Water Control, Wood Control. C level talents, Wind Dragon Technique plus Fireball Technique, Water Snake Technique, and Vine Entanglement. Plus D level talent, Wind Blade. Equals SS level talent, Elemental Lord. Option 3. S level talent, Space Teleportation plus A level talent, Moving Space equals S level talent, Space Control. Option 4. A level talent, Mental Bewitchment plus B level talent, Mental Enhancement equals A level talent, Mental Bewitchment. You also need 1 A level talent of the same type or 10 B level talents of the same type or, to upgrade. Plan 5. Level A, Poisonous Miasma, Poisonous Zombies plus Level B talent, Poison Enhancement. Plus C level talent, Serpent's Fang. Plus D level talent, Sting. Equals S level talent, Poison God. One by one, plans were displayed in front of Su Mu under the arrangement of Shen Lan. The fusion plan compiled by Shenlan tries to integrate all of Su Mu's low-level talents into high-level talents as much as possible. The fused talents not only improved on the basis of retaining the original talents and abilities, but some even gained new abilities at the same time. It's like a change in quantity caused a change in quality. Merge. Following Su Mu's thoughts, the talent in Su Mu's mind quickly changed drastically. In just a moment, all of Su Mu's B level, C level, and D level talents were integrated into other talents. And Su Mu also began to check out several talents that had undergone qualitative changes. S level talent, Poison God. Poison God, possessing the ability to control toxins. All poisons in the world are under control. He can control the toxicity of toxins. As the strength becomes stronger, the toxicity of the toxins that can be increased is also stronger, and the toxins released can be turned into poisonous gas, Poisonous stings and poisonous miasma attack the enemy, and can also be controlled independently to produce toxins, which will directly enter the heart and cause complete death within 3 seconds. S-level talent. Space manipulation. Space control. With the ability to control space, it can open up a moving space of 10,000 cubic meters, and initially control the space, teleport and control the space. The size of the moving space, the ability to teleport and control the space will increase with the size of the space. Improved by the improvement of one's own strength. SS-level talent. Elemental Lord. Elemental Monarch. Controls the elements of gold, wood, water, fire, earth, thunder, and wind. All elemental talents will be greatly suppressed in front of the owner of the Elemental Monarch talent. Even if the strength gap between the owner and the opponent is not if it is large, you can directly use elemental imprisonment to prohibit the opponent from using your own elemental talents. After the elemental imprisonment is used, unless the Elemental Lord takes the initiative to unlock it, the opponent's talents will always be imprisoned. SSS level talent. Extreme Nirvana Body. Extreme Nirvana Body. It has the advantages of both the Nirvana Body and the Ultimate Body. Every time it is upgraded, all aspects will be raised to the limit, including but not limited to strength, speed, and 5 senses. The sensitivity of the 5 senses can be freely controlled, so the limit that can be reached will exceed the upper limit that the human race can achieve. The ability to annihilate has been greatly improved. It can annihilate everything, including space. When it becomes powerful, it can even annihilate time. Look at the powerful talents. Su Mu took a long breath. He thought about the same kind of talent as an SSS level talent. When integrating, it should bring you some surprises. But he never expected that it would bring him such a huge surprise. He couldn't wait to start experimenting with his newly acquired talents. I saw him raising his hand and waving. A drop of green liquid began to emerge from the hand. Following Su Mu's thoughts, the green liquid gradually turned black, and even began to emit bursts of black poisonous mist. Raise your hand and wave. The black liquid disappeared in Su Mu's hand in an instant. Immediately, flames, water droplets, sand, molten metal, thunder and lightning, and a small cyan whirlwind began to appear in his hands. Try again. Space manipulation. Su Mu's figure quickly disappeared from one corner of the training room, and then quickly appeared in another corner. Immediately, no reaction time is required at all. Su Mu returned to the original place again. After similar fusion improvements, if it is a short distance space teleportation, within a certain number of times, there does not seem to be a need for gap time. If it is a long distance space teleportation, Su Mu frowned. The next moment, the figure disappeared from where it was. Wait until he returns to the training room again. If it is within 100 meters, it needs to stay for about 10 seconds. The current limit distance seems to be about 230 meters, which is probably related to my strength. If I remember correctly, when General Kong reached that strength, his spatial teleportation seemed to have no need to stop. The limit of distance is probably because the distance I escaped was not that far at the time. In any case, the potential of space manipulation is still quite huge. No wonder, the same is true for control, such as fire control and water control, which are only B-level talents. The gap between these two cannot be described in terms of a tiny bit. After experimenting with space teleportation in space manipulation, Su Mu also tested her ability to manipulate space for cutting in other aspects. After experimenting for a few hours, Su Mu began to check the improved movement space. The things he originally stored in the mobile space were still lying in the space, but the size of the space was already a bit larger than he imagined. After experimenting with the mobile space, Su Mu also has a long sword in her hand. The long sword shook, and the next moment, a layer of something as dark as ink, as if it were liquid, began to adhere to it. The power of annihilation. He has long wanted to try the power of annihilation. Previously, because of insufficient strength, the power of annihilation seemed unable to affect space. But now, after fusion promotion, the power of annihilation has obviously been taken to a new level. It can have an impact on space. Su Mu naturally wanted to try it. He picked up the long sword and slashed hard in his moving space. Following the slash, the power as black as ink quickly adhered to the moving space like maggots attached to bones. The adhered space began to crack and break like a mirror at a speed visible to the naked eye. Crack. Su Mu seemed to be able to hear the sound of space breaking apart. Pong. After a while, Su Mu's consciousness was directly squeezed out of the moving space by an invisible force. No, no more. There was a hint of disbelief on Su Mu's face. He quickly opened up a moving space again. But the mobile space that was opened up again was no longer the original space. The power of annihilation actually directly destroyed that space. Su Mu concluded. It's really terrifying and destructive. Su Mu looked at her arm. After swinging the sword, his arm turned into broken porcelain. It seems like it will break at any time with just a little bit of force. I don't know what effect it will have if it is applied over time. Su Mu was somewhat looking forward to how powerful the power of annihilation would be after it could act on time as her strength improved. He had a hunch that this power of annihilation would very likely be of great help to him in the future. He was sighing at the power of this power of destruction. Su Mu suddenly remembered something. Your sister, these are the things I put in the moving space. PFF. Su Mu directly wiped his own neck with the sword. After the talent is almost mastered, make sure you don't need to roll back again for the time being. Su Mu then started to exercise. Taking out the supplies distributed to him by the school, Su Mu used the equipment she had prepared long ago to prepare the qi and blood medicines. Probably after configuring more than 50 Tiger Yuan pills and more than 50 sets of Xuanyuan bear blood powder. Su Mu just stopped, started taking Hu Yuan Dan and Xuanyuan bear blood powder for practice. 3 days passed quickly during Su Mu's practice. Drops of sweat fell on the floor, tick, tick. Su Mu, who didn't know how long she had been practicing, collapsed on the ground with some exhaustion. Making progress after 3 days of practice is quite terrifying. Because of the talent of absorption acceleration, more than 50 Tiger Yuan pills and more than 50 sets of Xuanyuan bear blood powder were all absorbed by Su Mu. Su Mu's health value has also successfully climbed to 886.35, entering the late stage of a first-level warrior. He is only one step away from the peak of a first-level warrior. After resting for a while, Su Mu sat cross-legged on the ground. I began to practice the concept of gods and demons. As his blood value increases, his mental power increases faster and faster. In the 3 days of practice, Su Mu's mental power has already reached 999.99, and only the last layer of membrane is missing. As long as it breaks through, Su Mu's mental power will be able to step into the second-level warrior. However, it just happens that this layer of membrane is too difficult to pierce. Take a long breath. Su Mu started trying to break through again. Drops of sweat dripped from his forehead. His breathing was a little rapid and heavy from the beginning. It gradually becomes smoother and slower later on. I don't know how long it took. In the air, a bang seemed to be faintly heard. Su Mu opened her eyes in surprise. After working hard for nearly 2 days, his mental strength finally improved again. In one fell swoop, he reached the level of a second-level warrior. Strong mental power not only means that he can better deal with some mental attacks. For Su Mu, the biggest significance is that it can make more returns. With his current mental strength, it is enough to support him to go back hundreds of times. Even if he commits suicide from now on, regardless of the situation where he cannot commit suicide, it will not be a problem to fight all the way back to the day when he awakens his talent. Su Mu had a thought in her heart. The next moment, a light blue panel appeared in front of him. Name: Su Mu. Vitality value: 886.38, late stage of first-level warrior. Spiritual power: 1001.25, early stage of the second realm warrior. Talents: X level, copy after death, SSS level, 12 hours of rewind after death, body of extreme annihilation, SS level, elemental lord, S level, space control, poison god. A level, makeover. After arriving on the battlefield of all races, within a few days, Su Mu's strength had already reached this level. Su Mu herself couldn't believe it. But when he thought about it, he regretted that the week he was in a coma was wasted. If there was a chance, she could find a talent that would wake her up immediately from a coma, or allow her to commit suicide while in a coma. Su Mu really wanted to fight all the way back to the day she was comatose, and then make up for this week's time. But this idea just flashed in Su Mu's mind. After all, unless something really happened during his coma that he had to reverse. Otherwise, if he committed suicide all the way back to that time, the price would be too high for him. Not only does it mean that he has been cultivating to the current level of chi and blood and needs to practice again. More importantly, in order not to affect too much what he was already going through. Therefore, before turning back, he even had to prepare a clone or illusion that could lie there in his place. Every step needs to be planned. So unless it is absolutely necessary, Su Mu would not think about going back so long. However, if there is really a need to go back, Su Mu will also think of ways to plan a wave. I'll make up for that week's time by the way. Shaked his head. I didn't think about it anymore. Su Mu stood up. I have almost reached the point of cultivation. There are still about 12 hours left before the time he and Mr. Zhang agreed. Su Mu seemed to have thought of something, and said apologetically to the air, Mr. Zhang, I'm sorry. 12 hours passed quickly. On the Luoxia Peak east of the Eastern War Zone, a figure suddenly appeared. The moonlight fell on the earth, as if it was covered with a layer of white frost. The old man stood on Luoxia Peak, looking into the distance with some sadness. There is endless land over there. Over there is the most tragic place on the battlefield of all races. Looking at the horizon, the old man seemed to have thought of something. The expression on his face was complicated and worried. Just at this time, suddenly there was some noise behind the old man. The old man frowned slightly. Who are you? Where's Su Mu? The old man turned his head suddenly. Under the moonlight, a tall, strong man appeared behind the old man at some point. Su Mu, if you want to know his whereabouts, kill him first. The strong man hasn't finished speaking yet. It felt like he suddenly saw a headless corpse in front of him. Wait, headless corpse, my corpse, your sister, I haven't finished speaking yet, Mr. Zhang. You, old man, started too quickly. Su Mu gradually fell into darkness. Ding, you have been killed by the powerful human race Zhang Hao. The copy was successful. Congratulations on getting the SSS level talent, Oath of Life. SSS level talent, Oath of Life. Oath of Life. I swear by my life, it will be the help of my martial arts. People with the Oath of Life talent can issue a life oath in each realm and fulfill the content of the life oath. Then they, including but not limited to practice speed, martial arts power, strength, speed, etc., will receive at least the number of oaths multiplied by 1 times, up to 10 times the improvement. Once you violate the content of the Oath of Life, if you violate it 3 times, you will die directly. The Oath of Life is also the Bite of Life. Su Mu was breathing heavily in the training room. Is this the terrifying strength of the 9 realm experts? Su Mu didn't even finish her words. It's probably because when he changed his appearance, he gave himself the aura of an 8th level warrior, so Mr. Zhang didn't waste any time and just took action, right? However, no matter what, Mr. Zhang is really quick to take action. Shaked his head. Su Mu stared blankly at the introduction about Mr. Zhang's talent given by Shenlin in front of her. What kind of talent is this? This is the first time Su Mu has seen this kind of talent. The Oath of Life. It sounds like it's pretty cool. If you fulfill the content of the life oath, you, including but not limited to practice speed, martial arts power, strength, speed, etc., will be improved by at least double and at most 10 times the number of oaths. The previous modification was made, and this shall prevail. In other words, as long as he fulfills the content of his life oath, his cultivation speed, martial arts power and other aspects will increase tenfold. If this improvement affects all aspects, it would be really scary. This talent is somewhat similar to the sword heart clearness obtained by Su Mu before. The difference is that the sword heart clearness improves the talent of swordsmanship. And this talent seems to improve not just one aspect, but all aspects. Multiplied by 10 times at most, it seems to be worse than the 100-fold improvement of Kenshin's transparency. But don't forget, this tenfold can not only increase strength, but also increase speed. It can not only increase the power of practicing kendo martial arts, but also improve the power of other martial arts. It can not only increase the speed of practicing kendo, but also improve other aspects. The speed of cultivation, including the cultivation speed of Su Mu's qi and blood value, as well as the cultivation speed of mental power. More importantly, this improvement factor is not impossible to increase. According to the above introduction, the more life vows Su Mu makes, the more times it can increase. The only thing is that Su Mu doesn't know how to determine whether to multiply by 10 times or double. Shenlin, do you know how this oath of life is determined? Master, according to my analysis, this multiple should be related to the grandeur of the oath and the difficulty of realizing it. Does the grandeur of the oath you take have anything to do with it? Su Mu frowned slightly. Yes, if the oath you make, Master, is grander and more difficult to fulfill, then the multiples that will be judged will naturally be greater. Su Mu nodded understandingly. This explanation is somewhat interesting. So, what kind of oath should you make? Su Mu frowned. How about asking Mr. Zhang for his opinion later? A bold idea gradually emerged in Su Mu's mind. On the Luoxia Peak east of the Eastern War Zone, a figure suddenly appeared. It is Mr. Zhang. Repeat what you did the last time you rolled back. Similarly, there was another sound from behind Mr. Zhang. But this time, a smile appeared on Mr. Zhang's face. Su Mu, you are here. Mr. Zhang slowly turned his head. With a bit of a smile on his face, you always bring me surprises. You have only been on the battlefield of 10,000 races, but you have already reached the peak of the first level. I am afraid you are only one step away from being a second-level warrior. Bar. Su Mu nodded and said with a smile, I really can't hide anything from you, Mr. Zhang. Mr. Zhang waved his hand. Tell me, what is it that makes you risk your life and future as a guarantee? Mr. Zhang said, still looking at Su Mu. His eyes were full of satisfaction. With such strength at such a young age, combined with your talent in swordsmanship, I am afraid that within a few years, you will give me an even bigger surprise. Mr. Zhang, that's ridiculous. Su Mu said. This time, I called you here for two things. One thing is about myself, and the other thing is about the Eastern War Zone. Which one do you want to hear first, Mr. Zhang? Zhang Lao raised his eyebrows when he heard this. You guys are still trying to get away from me, so let's listen to what's going on in the Eastern Theater first. Su Mu had a serious expression on her face. Then without hesitation, he told everything he had heard about General Kong and the human-faced insects plan. At first, Mr. Zhang was still smiling a little, but after hearing the plan Su Mu said, his expression also became more serious. But after listening to what Su Mu said, a smile appeared on his face again. Why did you tell the old man this to me? Su Mu looked at Mr. Zhang and said seriously, Mr. Zhang, with my power, I definitely can't change everything. It's even impossible for me to report it. After all, if General Kong finds out, they will definitely not let me go, and the news will definitely not spread. Even if I am lucky and it does spread, I am so quiet, I am afraid no one will believe me, a little person like me. Quote, the only person I can think of who can help me is you, Mr. Zhang. With your identity and strength, if you talk about this matter, you will definitely attract the attention of the above. In fact, it doesn't have to be so troublesome. If you are willing to take action personally, this crisis can be solved in an instant. Quote, you kid, it's true. Mr. Zhang looked at Su Mu with satisfaction. Aren't you afraid that I am also a traitor to the human race? Su Mu smiled awkwardly. I believe you. If you are a traitor, I will go back to work again. Mr. Zhang laughed loudly. What a believer, Su Mu, since you trust me so much, then I will trust you too, old man. Don't worry, I will handle this matter. He laughed for a while, then put away his smile and sighed. I didn't expect that those fools have reached this point. Even the Eastern Theater Command has been infiltrated by them. Also, Su Mu frowned. Mr. Zhang, from what you mean, it seems that not only the Eastern Theater has been infiltrated. Mr. Zhang glanced at Su Mu and said, you are not suitable to know too much now. There is only one thing I can tell you. Once you go to the battlefield of all races, no one can completely believe it. He paused and stared at Su Mu, including me. Then, he shook his head. I don't know much about this matter now. I just have some vague guesses, but just remember what I said. Su Mu nodded thoughtfully. Lao Zhang, can I trust you now? Hearing this, Mr. Zhang laughed loudly. Silly boy, you are using it so quickly. What do you think? Su Mu raised her eyebrows. Mr. Zhang, I think that even if everyone in the human race is untrustworthy, you must be trustworthy. When Mr. Zhang heard Su Mu's words, he looked at Su Mu in surprise. Then he narrowed his eyes slightly and said, "Huh. Why do you say that? Next, there is another thing I want to tell you, something about me." At this time, Mr. Zhang seemed to be interested. "Tell me, your boy has really aroused my interest in the old man. I want to see what this thing about you is. The reason why I say this, Mr. Zhang, is because I know that your talent is the oath of life." Not only know. Su Mu took a long breath. "I swear on my life to be my martial arts support." The next moment, little bits of fluorescence began to appear on Su Mu's body. See this scene. Mr. Zhang's pupils shrank suddenly. Chapter 71. How can it be? Even Mr. Zhang can't calm down now. And Su Mu also stopped her actions in time. After all, if he continues like this, he will really swear a life oath. But actually, there is one thing to say, for Su Mu herself. He is really not afraid of the price of the oath of life. If he dies, he will die. A man is upright, so why should he be afraid of death? The worst thing is to turn back. What he was worried about was that the life oath he had made was not grand enough, which would result in the increase in his own power not being multiplied enough. He is still not sure whether this oath of life follows his talent. If so, then it really cannot be set up randomly. Otherwise, it would be useless to go back and Su Mu would have no place to cry. Your talent is the oath of life. Mr. Zhang seemed to have guessed something, but he was still not sure. In other words, one of my talents is the oath of life. Su Mu said. A ball of flame appeared in his hand, and the flame immediately turned into vines, and the vines turned into water droplets. Finally, disappear. Watching the power of each element emerge in Su Mu's hands. Mr. Zhang seemed to understand something. His expression became more solemn than when he heard Su Mu talk about General Kong and the human-faced insect's plan just now. Impossible. How is it possible? Although Mr. Zhang said it was impossible, his eyes towards Su Mu became more complicated. At this time, Su Mu finally spoke. My talent is an EX level talent, copy after death. After I die, I can copy the talent of the person who killed me and be resurrected back to an hour ago. Su Mu slightly modified her talent and told Mr. Zhang. As Mr. Zhang said, no one can be truly trusted. Although Mr. Zhang is already the person he can trust the most. But who can guarantee that others will not use some special methods to obtain Su Mu's talent from Mr. Zhang? And after listening to what Su Mu said, Mr. Zhang looked at Su Mu in surprise. You mean, just an hour ago, I killed you? Su Mu smiled awkwardly after hearing this. Well, Mr. Zhang, I used some tricks. Hearing this, Mr. Zhang nodded. Didn't say much. His expression was very solemn. I don't know what I'm thinking. After a while, he finally spoke. However, it was not said to Su Mu. I swear on my life to be my martial arts support. As these words fell, Mr. Zhang's body glowed with fluorescence. It's exactly the same situation as Su Mu just now. If I in any way, or have any idea, want to reveal Su Mu's talent, I will be killed on the spot. With the fall of his words, dots of fluorescence gathered between his eyebrows. Finally, it condensed into a pure white yolk and disappeared into the center of his eyebrows. See this scene. Su Mu was also a little surprised. Mr. Zhang, what are you doing? Mr. Zhang smiled when he heard this. Su Mu, originally, I just thought that with your talent, you will definitely be able to shine on the battlefield of all races in the future, and you will make a lot of contributions to our human race. You will be the top powerhouse and the pillar of our human race in the future. But now, I feel that if someone can really save the human race, then that person must be you. X-level talent should be SSS level or above, right? Mr. Zhang obviously wants to understand a lot of things, copy after death. Such a talent is destined to have unlimited potential. Not only do you have unlimited opportunities for trial and error, but you also have countless top talents in the world. Mr. Zhang looked into the distance with some excitement. Su Mu, do you know why I chose to leave the battlefield of all races and go to the rear of the human race to serve as the principal of Longjing Martial Arts University? Su Mu thought for a while. there are limits to killing thousands of people on the battlefield, but if we can cultivate more geniuses and more strong men for the human race, then the human race can gradually gain an advantage in the battle. Quote. Zhang Laoyi smiled. This is just one of the reasons. Another reason is that I suddenly feel that there is no hope of victory for the human race. The 10,000 clans are really too powerful, and among them, as far as I know, there is a terrifyingly powerful being. As if thinking of that existence, a hint of shock appeared on Mr. Zhang's face. He doesn't often appear on the battlefield of all races. No one knows what his purpose is, and no one knows what he wants to do. However, from the moment he appears, it is destined that there is only one invincible person. That's who he is. Hearing Mr. Zhang's description, Su Mu instantly thought of the person mentioned in the diary who made Chen Bin, a person with a death recovery, despair to the point of rebellion. Is that person scary? Mr. Zhang nodded. Horrible. If it weren't for the restrictions on him, so that he had to fall into a deep sleep every once in a while, and every time he woke up, he could only be awake for a very short period of time. At that time, the God King of the 10 major God clans, I'm afraid he may not die in the hands of the 7 saints of our human race. Mr. Zhang said, it can be said that the biggest reason why the human race has been able to gain an advantage in these 50 years is because it is sleeping. But he won't sleep forever. Su Mu gritted her teeth. He naturally knew what Mr. Zhang meant. Moreover, he knew far more than Mr. Zhang. In 10 years at most, that guy will definitely wake up from his slumber. There may even be more, because it was mentioned in the diary that Chen Bin met him once on the battlefield of all races. In other words, he may wake up earlier. Although I don't know if he will continue to fall asleep later. However, as long as he is around, the human race seems to have no hope of defeating all races. Mr. Zhang looked at Su Mu at this moment. Su Mu, if there is someone in the human race who can defeat him, then I think this person must be you. Because he is just like you. Mr. Zhang paused for a moment, then slowly said, both of you have more than one talent. More than one talent. Su Mu suddenly understood. Why did my future self and current Mr. Zhang say the same thing? If there is anyone in the human race who can defeat that person, then it must be him. It turns out, that's how it is. Could it be that that person's talent is also copied? If so, how does that person replicate? If not, so how did that person acquire multiple gifts? Countless questions swirled in Su Mu's mind. I only met that person once, but that time, my oath of life was broken twice. Mr. Zhang turned his head and looked into the distance. If he hadn't woken up for too short a time, and he didn't seem to have murderous intentions towards us, I might have died that time. Hear what Mr. Zhang said. Su Mu seemed to be able to feel the despair in his heart when he met that person. You know, Mr. Zhang is a strong man in the 9 realms. The one who made him feel hopeless possessed the talent of Oath of Life. Mr. Zhang probably has his own principles throughout his life. This is why Su Mu chose to tell Mr. Zhang about her talent after learning that his talent was the Oath of Life. Su Mu was betting that Mr. Zhang's Oath of Life contained a similar oath to protect the human race. As long as there is such an oath, it means that it is absolutely impossible for Mr. Zhang to betray the human race. And Mr. Zhang's actions undoubtedly proved that Su Mu's bet was right. After learning about Su Mu's talent, the first thing Mr. Zhang did was to make a life oath that he would not reveal Su Mu's talent in any form or even with similar thoughts. The Oath of Life is not something that you will be fine if you don't break the oath subjectively. Even if you break your oath unintentionally, it may lead to death. The Oath of Life sworn by Mr. Zhang undoubtedly blocked all the ways in which he might reveal Su Mu's talent. Even if someone has the talent of searching memories or mind control. As long as Mr. Zhang leaks it in any form, he will die at that moment. This is not only to protect Su Mu, but also to show Su Mu that he will do his best to help Su Mu next. I'm just saying this so that you can understand how terrifying he is. Mr. Zhang looked at Su Mu. Before you step into the 10 realms, if you meet him, don't hesitate and just commit suicide. Zhang Laodao, judging from your talent, it shouldn't be difficult for you to escape from his hands. Su Mu also nodded understandingly. Indeed, with his current strength, if he meets that person, he will definitely die. However, if he died in the hands of that person, what will happen? It seems that he saw Su Mu's thoughts. I suggest you not to think about dying at his hands for the time being. Your talent is X level, and his talent must also be X level. If you want to copy his talent at the same level, the possibility of success is actually very small. The more important point is that that person is so terrifying that you cannot use common sense to judge him. Therefore, I do not recommend that you have this idea before you have full confidence and strength to fight against him. Su Mu nodded. I know Mr. Zhang. Mr. Zhang also nodded with satisfaction. Su Mu, do you have a disciple now? Mr. Zhang, what do you mean? Su Mu was a little confused. That is, before entering Longjing Martial Arts University, did any teacher contact you and say that he hoped you would join his school or something like that? No, Mr. Zhang. Su Mu shook her head. To be honest, he is a bit of a genius now. But he is far from being a genius to the point where everyone knows him. Mr. Zhang nodded when he heard this. If anyone asks, just say you are my student. Mr. Zhang suddenly said. Su Mu was stunned. Mr. Zhang, what do you mean? Do you want me to join your school? Hearing this, Mr. Zhang smiled with some sigh. Yes, and no. I can't teach you, so strictly speaking, I'm not your teacher. However, I am willing to do my best to help you. After joining my school, you can mobilize the most talented people in Longjing Martial Arts University. The abundant resources are beneficial to you. In addition, I will also declare you as my close disciple to the outside world, so you will save a lot of trouble. Quote. If you don't mind, you can call me teacher in the future. After all, it's just a title. However, I will not bind you with the relationship between master and disciple. The path you want to take is very difficult and very difficult. It's so difficult that you can only walk alone. No one can accompany you all the way. This also means that there can't be anyone around you, including your family, the people you like, and the people who like you. People, your teachers, your classmates, your friends. Mr. Zhang's words made Su Mu fall into deep thought. Indeed, along with this road, we gradually go further. Su Mu also became more and more aware of this. He showed a wry smile, and then looked at Mr. Zhang firmly. Teacher, I know. Since I have decided to take this path, I will not regret it. Although there may be no one around me, there are people behind me. There are too many people. Hear Su Mu's words. Mr. Zhang sighed. It's hard on you, child. Zhang Laodao. In that case, let's just say this first. You have a few senior brothers and sisters under our master's sect. I will introduce you to them in the future. Their talents are pretty good. If you have the chance, I will help you find a way to copy them. Ichiban. As Mr. Zhang spoke, he began to think about something. It's not just them, some old guys have talents that are also interesting. If there is a chance, I will help you think of a way. Teacher, why do you feel like you all know each other's talents? Su Mu was a little confused. Before entering Longjing Martial Arts University, the education he received had always been that talents should not be told to others casually. Mr. Zhang smiled when he heard this. Does it feel different from the education you received before? He said. In fact, different times have different requirements for you. Many years ago, there was no such thing as not exposing your talent. At that time, college admissions would even depend on the level of your awakened talent. But later, you also know that as more and more pagan worshippers appear in the rear of the human race, those geniuses who have awakened their rare talents may be killed by the pagan worshippers before they have a chance to embark on martial arts. In order to reduce the occurrence of this situation, we ask you not to reveal your talents when you are behind the human race. However, this will be relaxed after you get to college. Especially when you enter the teacher's school, you will definitely need to inform your teacher of some information about your talent, so that your teacher can better understand to train you. This is one of the reasons why I let you join my school. And on the battlefield of all races, sometimes it is unavoidable to reveal some information about your talents to your teammates in order to better cooperate in the battle. So, in the future, you may inevitably need to show some of your talents. What you need to pay attention to is not to show different talents in front of the same group of people. Okay, after talking so much, it's time to talk about something serious. Mr. Zhang waved his hand. Now that you have the talent of Oath of Life, you should be ready to start taking the oath, right? Yes, teacher, it's just that I don't know what kind of oath I should make better yet. Hear Su Mu's words. Mr. Zhang laughed. If it's other talents, I really can't help you, but with this oath of life, I've been using it as your teacher for most of my life, so I can give you some pointers. Speaking of it, if combined with your talent, the oath of life is completely equivalent to an oath without side effects for you. Having said this, Mr. Zhang looked at Su Mu with some envy. But then he added, then there is only one thing you need to pay attention to. If you can maximize the ability of the oath of life to bless you. Starting from the first level warrior, every time you advance to a higher level, you can make an oath of life, and the multiple of your increase will be determined based on the content of the oath. If you fulfill the content of the oath or are fulfilling it, then you will continue to increase. If you fail to fulfill the content of the oath, it is the broken oath I said before. The first time you break the oath, your increase will be reduced by 1/2. The second time you break the oath, the increase of your life oath will completely disappear. The third time you break the oath, you will die. And when you make a vow, your first oath of life is especially important. Zhang Laodao. This is what I have learned after many years of exploration. If the first oath of life is chosen well, it will be of great help to your subsequent oaths of life, and it is even possible to form a perfect set of oaths. The oath system. Then every time your oath of life increases, it can easily reach 10 times. Once your realm is promoted to the 9th or even 10th realm, your increase will be 90 times or 100 times. Perfect oath system. Su Mu was stunned. Fortunately, I came to ask this old man. Otherwise, if I made an oath of life casually, wouldn't it mean that I would miss the perfect oath system? Otherwise, having a teacher on the path of spiritual practice can save you many detours. Deep Blue, as a database, is not smart enough after all. Some things are just information, and it is not omniscient. Some secret information is often spread by word of mouth. At this time, a teacher is particularly important. Su Mu couldn't help but feel lucky that she had chosen to bring Mr. Zhang into her camp. With the help of Mr. Zhang, he would not only be able to improve his strength faster, but also avoid too many detours. The first oath of life must be grand enough and difficult enough. In this case, the effect of increasing the power by 8 to 10 times can be achieved during the first oath of life. And every subsequent oath of life needs to be sworn again based on the first oath of life. In this case, every subsequent oath of life is based on the first oath of life. It will be easier to achieve an increase of 8 to 10 times. After my experiments, the harder the previous oath of life is, the more the subsequent oath of life can be related to the previous oath of life, the easier it will be to achieve an 8 to 10-fold increase. That is to say, after you make a first oath of life that is difficult and grand enough, each oath of life will be based on the first oath of life, and with a little more constraints, then there is a high chance that a perfect oath of life system can be formed. Mr. Zhang said, stroking his beard. However, this perfect system of oath of life is only what I realized based on the experience of predecessors in the book and combined with my own experience. Even myself, not really tested. So is this first oath of life so important? Su Mu rubbed her chin and started thinking. In his mind, he already had some thoughts about the first oath of life. Teacher, do you think that if I make the wrong oath and then commit suicide, can I make a new oath? Hearing this, Mr. Zhang was also stunned for a moment. You kid, you haven't even started to take the oath, but you are already thinking about taking the oath again. He laughed. Su Mu smiled awkwardly. Aren't I thinking that I can complete the perfect oath of life system you envisioned, teacher? Mr. Zhang nodded. Based on my experience every time I swear, it should be feasible. Mr. Zhang narrowed his eyes slightly. According to my analysis, since your talent is copied after death, the only thing that can be taken away is your spiritual consciousness and the talent you copied. The establishment of the oath of life actually relied on an external force that we cannot explain. Based on my many years of exploration, I call it the way of heaven. So, if nothing else, the plan you just proposed should be feasible. After hearing Mr. Zhang's explanation, Su Mu nodded. Then teacher, I understand. Said. Su Mu took a long breath. I swear on my life to be my martial arts support. Su Mu's body began to condense with little bits of fluorescence. It is my duty to prevent the destruction of the human race, no matter the cost. I will set my heart for heaven and earth, and create peace for the human race. Even if I die thousands of times, I will have no regrets. Dazzling light bloomed from Su Mu's body. The entire Luoxia peak seemed to be like daylight. See this scene. Even the well-informed Mr. Zhang couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. But he reacted quickly. He raised his hand. I was just thinking of doing something. But what else came to mind? His hand dropped slightly. Let this white light shine on the Luoxia peak. After a while, the white light turned into a shackle and fell on Su Mu's eyebrows. Su Mu slowly opened her eyes. A smile appeared on his face. Just now, information about the Oath of Life once again appeared before his eyes. The first Oath of Life is established, and the judgment multiplier is 10 times. Teacher, it's 10 times. The result was pretty much what Su Mu thought. But this also means that the road Su Mu has to take is too difficult. But so what if it's difficult? Su Mu's eyes slowly became firm. Now that he has decided to take this path, he will never regret it. As he said before, this road is so difficult that there may not be anyone around him. But it doesn't matter, there is someone behind him, that's enough. Hey, you shouldn't be responsible for this kind of thing. Mr. Zhang sighed. To be honest, looking at Su Mu in front of him, he only felt distressed. Not only did Su Mu make it her mission to prevent the destruction of the human race without hesitation, but it was also because Su Mu had said the words of suicide very calmly before. He didn't know how many times Su Mu had died. But if you can gradually become numb to death, then the number of times must have reached a certain level. Death and resurrection. Sometimes, it may not be a good thing. For some people, death is an opportunity to rest. Having this ability, for Su Mu, it's actually a curse. He alone will bear the curse of life and death with all his memories. Mr. Zhang sighed, but Su Mu thought of something. Teacher, do you know someone named Ning Yi? Ning Yi. Mr. Zhang shook his head in confusion. I know a few people named Ning, but I have never heard of Ning Yi. What's wrong? Mr. Zhang said doubtfully. Su Mu shook her head. It's okay, teacher, just be careful with this person. Also, teacher, do you know anyone who is as powerful as an 8th realm warrior, and who is particularly talented in the way of the sword? Su Mu's question once again stunned Mr. Zhang. But this time he thought for a while and replied, if you want to say that, there is really one. There is a boy in the Song family named Song Tianlong. His talent in swordsmanship is quite remarkable. He also came from Longjing in his early years. Those who graduated from martial arts university are still your seniors. Song Tianlong. Hear the name. Su Mu's heart moved. Teacher, do you know where he is now? Mr. Zhang thought for a while and said, I haven't contacted him for a long time, but I heard his teacher said before that after he stayed on the battlefield of the 10,000 races for a period of time, he took the initiative to apply to be transferred back to the human race's rear to serve as a security guard. I'm the head of the district's night walkers. After hearing what Mr. Zhang said, Su Mu was a little excited. Yes, behind the human race. 8th realm warrior. Good at swordsmanship. Every condition is met. Fortunately, Su Mu asked Mr. Zhang. As the principal of the top martial arts university in the human race, Mr. Zhang knew people that Su Mu could not imagine. What's wrong, Xiao Mu? Is there something wrong with Song Tianlong? Su Mu did not hide it from Mr. Zhang this time. Before Ning Yi, it was mainly Su Mu herself who couldn't figure out what was going on with him. After all, there is very little information about this in the diary. But this Song Tianlong is different. That was Su Mu's personal experience. Teacher, this Song Tianlong is most likely a traitor to the human race. Hear Su Mu's words. Mr. Zhang frowned. Xiao Mu, you can't say this nonsense. If there is no definite evidence, even if I casually doubt an 8th level warrior, I will be criticized by others, not to mention that Song Tianlong is still Song, the son of the family. The Song family is a behemoth in Dragon City, the center of the 9th security zone, one of the 7 major families. Standing behind them was one of the top 7 strong men in the human race. 50 years ago, Song Ju, the sword master among the 7 saints of the human race, killed the 10 gods and kings. Su Mu also frowned. He had thought that the guy's background might be quite impressive. But I didn't expect it to be so amazing. The children of the Song family, one of the 7 major families, not only awakened their SSS-level talents but were also 8th level warriors. Regardless of status, background, or talent and strength, this kind of person is top-notch among the human race. Even if Su Mu had concrete evidence that he betrayed the human race, it might not be easy to deal with him. What's more, Su Mu still has no evidence in hand. Teacher, although I have no evidence at the moment. Su Mu said, but do you know that I have an SSS level talent? The sword's heart is transparent. Where does it come from? Could it be that boy from the Song family? Mr. Zhang had obviously guessed. The specific reasons are very complicated. Forgive me for not being able to tell you in detail, teacher. Su Mu definitely couldn't tell Mr. Zhang everything that happened that day. After all, it not only involves Deep Blue, but also involves Su Mu's biggest secret, the diary left to him by his future self. Although he now has great trust in Mr. Zhang. But there are some secrets that cannot be told based on simple trust. Mr. Zhang is obviously a mature man, and he will never take the initiative to ask Su Mu if he doesn't tell her. Instead, he pondered for a long time. Then he slowly said, okay, I know about this matter, but since that boy from the Song family has rebelled against the human race, with his identity, he should not be exposed easily, and the things he is planning are probably not small. For the time being, we can only pay attention to him first and then find a way to deal with him later. In response, Su Mu nodded in agreement. At present, rashly showing hostility towards him is indeed not a good choice. It's better to use the trick and pretend that he doesn't know that he has defected from the human race, and then start plotting. Xiao Mu, your current main improvement method, in addition to the improvement of your own health value, the most important thing is to be able to copy some top talents. I can't stay on the battlefield of 10,000 races for too long, it can only take half a day at most. Next, let me tell you a few things. Su Mu nodded and listened carefully. Mr. Zhang continued. There is a person who is coming soon. I will help you copy a talent from him. Then, I will take you to 3 places. Each place has a lot of talents. The talent of copying, but I may not have the memory to take you to that place, so it's up to you to tell me. Now, tell me, have you copied the talent of the person who is coming later? Su Mu shook her head. Mr. Zhang nodded understandingly. How did you lie to me to kill you before? Mr. Zhang asked. Su Mu understands. The figure began to gradually transform into that of a stranger. I saw Su Mu who suddenly changed her appearance, breath, and even blood value. Mr. Zhang was a little surprised. Your talent is quite interesting. Even if I want to see it, it would be a bit troublesome. To be honest, I'm a little surprised, teacher, this talent is obviously just an A-level talent. Su Mu was actually a little surprised. At first, he even thought that he might not be able to hide it from Mr. Zhang. But I didn't expect that Mr. Zhang didn't notice it. Hearing this, Mr. Zhang smiled and said, the level of your talent is indeed not low. Unless you encounter an S-level or above talent that can see through you, even the 9 realm warriors will not be able to see through you. Camouflage. This is why talent is the biggest factor that determines a warrior's strength. With some talents, it doesn't even matter how much stronger you are than the opponent, as long as your talent cannot restrain the opponent's talent, or the talent level is not as high as the opponent's. Even if it's high, it's still impossible to break the opponent's talent. Think about your copying talent. Is this the reason? Although I am much stronger than you, you can still copy it easily because your talent level is high enough. As for your talent, if it simply changes your body shape and appearance, you may not be able to hide it from some people, but your talent can even change your breath and blood value, which makes it much more difficult to identify. Big. Then teacher, if you use this talent to sneak into some places, wouldn't it be impossible to judge? Mr. Zhang smiled and then shook his head. Of course not. There are more ways to judge than just this. This talent is naturally not impossible to judge. A very important reason why even I didn't see it for a moment is because you are the one who uses this talent. Mr. Zhang looked at Su Mu carefully. Your mental power is so powerful that I am a little surprised. If it is an ordinary human race, if it has your talent but does not practice mental power, it will be easily seen. Quote. But you have a spiritual power that is completely different from your current state. I think you must have deliberately cultivated your spiritual power, right? The last time I saw you, your mental strength was far from what it is now. After Mr. Zhang's explanation, only then did Su Mu understand why Mr. Zhang took action without hesitation after seeing him. Mr. Zhang obviously knew what level his mental power was before. But he didn't know that his mental power would improve so quickly. In addition, his body shape, appearance, breath and blood values have all changed. That's why I thought Su-mu was another person. Okay, now you just keep this image, and the teacher will act out a show with you to trick this old guy. As he said this, Mr. Zhang's face suddenly turned pale. Then he fell directly to the ground. Teacher, what are you doing? Su-mu was just about to say something. As a result, he was directly interrupted by Mr. Zhang. Human traitor. He actually lurked near the Eastern War Zone and even attacked me, old man. Even if I die, old man, I won't let you even step into the Eastern War Zone. Su-mu immediately understood what Mr. Zhang meant. The expression on his face suddenly became weird. Then he followed what Mr. Zhang said and continued. HMPH, old man, today is the day you die. You dare. Just as Su-mu finished her words, a voice came from afar. I saw that the entire sky seemed to suddenly turn into a black curtain. It quickly enveloped the entire Luoxia peak. Linye old ghost. Quick, kill him quickly. Mr. Zhang shouted towards the sky. Don't worry, I'm here to deal with him, and I can actually beat you like this. This guy is at least a 9th level warrior, right? Let me come and meet him. Hurry up and deal with him, what the hell are you talking about? Mr. Zhang couldn't help but cursed. I know, I'll just turn it on. Next moment, Su-mu felt as if her body had been torn apart by a force. The vision gradually became dark. Ding, you have been killed by the strong human race Lin Yi, and the copy was successful. Congratulations on getting the SSS level talent, Extreme Night Sky Curtain. Call. Su-mu opened her eyes. The expression on his face was a little helpless. At first, he was still thinking about how Mr. Zhang would help him copy his talent. Think about it now. Ahem, sure enough, the simplest is the most practical. Life is all about acting. This was all thanks to Mr. Zhang himself. If it were another person, I'm afraid this might not be the case. Su-mu quickly began to check the talents she had copied. SSS level talent, Extreme Night Sky. Jia Canopy. Create a certain range of domain space. Within the space, the owner can instantly appear anywhere within the Jia Canopy. It can blind all enemies in the Jia Canopy and all perceptions of the outside world. In the Jia Canopy, within the scope of the Sky Curtain, the owner's martial arts attack power will be increased 100 times, and the domain space range will increase as the strength increases. Field level talent. There was a hint of joy on Su-mu's face. Mr. Zhang is so awesome. This wave of copying directly gave him a group attack skill. If this skill is combined with the poisonous miasma produced by his poison god, then he will be able to kill everyone in the dark sky. You know, Su-mu is just a peak warrior now. But with this Extreme Night Sky, plus many other talents, a second-level warrior can instantly kill Su-mu in front of him. Although the warriors of the 3 realms cannot sweep, at least the opponents in the early stage of the 3 realms should be no problem. As for the middle stage of the 3 realms, Su-mu can't say yet. But let him measure the combat power. The best is measured by Lu Yuan, a person he has never beaten so many times. Just do it. Su-mu left the training room directly. 12 hours later again, Su-mu reappeared in the training room. It's a bit bullying, but I like it. Just the last time he returned, he ran directly to challenge a wave of distance. Before, Lu Yuan could hardly get anything good from him. Now it's almost a long way to go. Under the blessing of the polar night sky, Lu Yuan could not even touch the corners of Su-mu's clothes. In addition, Su-mu has strengthened a wave of talents and strength. It's almost a long way to go. This kind of crushing is simply the kind of crushing where the strength exceeds Lu Yuan too much. Su-mu estimated that if she worked hard, she should be able to deal with the enemies in the middle stage of the 3 realms. In the late stage of the 3 realms, it is almost the limit. A warrior at the peak of the 1st realm said that being a warrior at the late stage of the 3rd realm is the limit he can reach. This is more than just crossing a big realm. This is almost 2 realms. For Su-mu in the early stage, this Extreme Night Sky Curtain is definitely the best talent to crush her opponents. Practice the polar night sky again. Su-mu started to behave according to the behavior he had done before, and the time came again when Mr. Zhang asked him. Now, tell me, have you copied the talent of the person who is coming later? Mr. Zhang looked at Su Mu. Su Mu nodded towards Mr. Zhang. As he spoke, he waved his hand, and the next moment, Mr. Zhang was quickly enveloped into a dark space. See this dark space? Mr. Zhang nodded with satisfaction. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I really wouldn't believe that there is such a talent as yours in the world. It's really Lin Yi Laogui's Jia Tianmu. The growth potential of this Tianmu is extremely high. As your strength increases, the range will increase. It will improve, and there are many things you can do in the extreme night sky. Old Ghost Lin Yi once used this talent to trap and kill 3 9th realm warriors. Zhang Laodao. However, with your current strength, if the enemy is stronger than you, he can forcibly tear apart your extreme night sky. When you reach the realm of Lin Yi Old Ghost, the extreme night sky will appear. Hundreds of millions of aliens died. Even if a 10th realm warrior wants to tear it apart, it will take a lot of time. Now, put it away first. You should also know that the Old Ghost Lin Yi is coming soon. Quote. Su Mu closed the polar night sky. He looked at Mr. Zhang with some confusion. Teacher, who is this Lin Yi? Old Ghost Lin Yi. Mr. Zhang smiled. He is one of the 3 commanders in the Eastern War Zone. One of the 3 commanders in the Eastern War Zone. Su Mu's eyelids twitched. No wonder the last time he returned, he was killed without even seeing him. And it seems to be just to confirm what Mr. Zhang said. A man wearing black armor and a stern face appeared in front of the 2 of them at some point. Old Ghost Lin Yi, are you finally here? Mr. Zhang looked at the man with a smile. The man looked to be in his 20s or 30s, with sharp eyebrows and starry eyes, and a stern expression. He looked much younger than Mr. Zhang. The movement is so loud, it's hard for me not to notice it. Lin Yi smiled faintly. You're pretending. Zhang Laodi cursed. You're still doing this in front of me, right? This is my close disciple Su Mu, and he can be considered your junior. Hearing this, Lin Yi began to look at Su Mu. Not bad, he said 2 words slowly. Looks quite a bit like a master. On the contrary, Mr. Zhang couldn't stand it. He raised his foot to kick Lin Yi. Seeing this, Lin Yi quickly dodged and then said, Old Ghost Zhang, what are you doing? Is it so easy for me to establish an image like this? Come on, I'm going to get angry when I see you with this ageless face. I should have eaten that fruit in the first place. Mr. Zhang seemed to be very angry with Lin Yi's young and handsome face and cursed. I didn't know that at the time, either. Lin Yi finally seemed to be unable to pretend anymore and said with an awkward smile. Su Mu looked at the 2 people strangely. It can be heard from Mr. Zhang's words. It seems that Commander Lin Yi was from the same period as him, and the 2 of them may have been good brothers through life and death. The reason why Commander Lin Yi still looks young is because he stole one of Zhang Lao's fruits. Come on, I will remember this forever. Mr. Zhang glanced at Lin Yi resentfully. Lin Yi could only smile apologetically, then turned his eyes to Su Mu, trying to change the subject and said, I didn't expect that you, an old ghost, would actually accept a close disciple at the end of your life. After all, I am your junior, don't you express your gratitude? Old Zhang twitched his eyebrows and said, Let me tell you, Old Ghost Lin Yi, if the gift you give me, as a closed disciple, is satisfactory to me, I will not expose you in the future when there are many people. Ha! Lin Yi's face was filled with joy. Is this true? That's natural. You don't know me yet. Could I have lied to you about what I said? Mr. Zhang nodded. Lin Yi immediately felt comfortable and looked at Su Mu with a smile on his face. Old Ghost Zhang, what you said is that your closed disciple is my half-disciple, isn't it? Su Mu, right, I'll call you Xiao Mu. I will take you to my private vault later, you can take whatever you like. You still have the demeanor of an elder. Mr. Zhang looked at Su Mu. Xiao Mu, have you been to the 3 places I said I would take you to? No, Su Mu replied. Mr. Zhang nodded when he heard this. In that case, Old Ghost Lin Yi, I can't stay on the battlefield of all races for too long, so I won't tell you the reason for the light just now. You must also know the reason for the light just now, so I and my disciple will leave first. Quote. With that said, Mr. Zhang and Su Mu disappeared in front of Lin Yi. Looking at Mr. Zhang and Su Mu who suddenly disappeared, Lin Yi stopped where he was and rubbed his chin. Why did I feel a familiar breath just now? Is it an illusion? Shaked his head, Lin Yi once again put on a stern face. Old Ghost Zhang actually offered such conditions this time. It seems that he values this closed disciple very much. In this case, I can't be stingy. The next moment, his figure disappeared from the top of Luoxia Peak. Teacher, it seems that you and Linye Senpei have a very good relationship. At this moment, Su Mu felt the surrounding scene quickly regressing in front of her eyes. However, he and Mr. Zhang were not affected at all. Even Su Emu's hair is not affected. This is the method of the 9 realm warriors. He, your teacher, and I have been best friends since we were students. The two of us have blocked at least 10 fatal attacks for each other. He is a good person in other aspects, but he likes to pretend too much. Sometimes he is a handsome man, but I can't stand his behavior. He insists on establishing an incomprehensible senior image in front of the younger generations. Quote. Mr. Zhang seemed to recall some things he had with Lin Yi and sighed. It's great to have such a friend. Su Mu was a little envious. But he quickly shook his head. People like him are destined to not and cannot have such friends. It seemed that he felt Su Emu's emotions. Mr. Zhang said nothing. It's just a little faster. The first place I want to take you to is a place called Tiantian Valley. The second place is the Manju tribe. The third place is Tianyan Mountain. Generally speaking, on the battlefield of 10,000 races, the farther away from the human race, the closer it is to the core area of the 10,000 races, and the races that can be encountered will rank higher among the 10,000 races. You should have learned it in school before. Generally speaking, ranked aliens often mean that there is a higher chance of powerful talents appearing. Su Mu nodded. But among the 10,000 clans, only those in the top 1,000 will be ranked. It would be great if sometime, I could go to the territory of the Immortal 10 clans. The Immortal 10 tribes are the top 10 races among all races. Except for the God clan, which is the well-deserved first race of the Immortal 10 tribes, the other 9 races are ranked in no particular order. Su Mu has always suspected that that person is probably one of the Immortal clan. It is very likely that it comes from the mysterious God clan. The God clan is the well-deserved first race among the 10 immortal clans. There are many branches under the God clan. Most of the God clan are born as 7th level warriors, and their strength is terrifying. Among the God clan, the 10 most famous branches are also known as the 10 Great Clan of Gods. At the beginning, it was precisely because the 7 saints of the human race killed the God kings of the 10 major divine races that the human race began to gradually gain an advantage on the battlefield of all races. You should put this idea aside for the time being. With your current strength, even if you die all the way, you will not be able to enter the place where the Immortal 10 clans are. However, in the future, when you are strong enough, it is not impossible. Quote. Mr. Zhang's words poured a bucket of cold water on Su Mu. Su Mu could only shrug helplessly. Mr. Zhang is right. With his current strength, let alone entering the territory of a foreign race at the level of the Immortal 10 races among all races. These are the 3 places that Mr. Zhang is taking him to now. He may not be able to break into this even if he is dying all the way. Just thinking about it, Mr. Zhang's speed suddenly slowed down. We're here, Tiantian Valley. Su Mu saw from a distance a huge valley with a huge abyss opening, as if it was about to swallow up the world. Swallowing Heaven Valley. Su Mu frowned slightly as she looked at the valley that looked like a huge mouth of an abyss. Mr. Zhang nodded. The sky-devouring ants live here. The sky-swallowing ant clan. The sky-swallowing ant clan that ranks 723rd among all races. Zhang Lao smiled and said, it seems that you have learned a lot from the 10,000 clan. Yes, the sky-swallowing ant clan is huge in number. One of them alone may not be a big threat, but if the number is large enough, even if I encounter it, I will feel it's a bit tricky. But the most powerful thing about the sky-swallowing ant tribe is their 2 SSS level talents. One is the sky-swallowing and earth-swallowing talent, and the other is the optimization talent. The former can help you increase your vitality and blood value faster. As for the latter, it usually appears on the body of the ant queen, but it is not suitable for you. Is talent optimized? Just listen to the name. Su Mu thinks it suits him quite well. An idea struck him. The next moment, Deep Blue had introduced the ability to optimize talents in front of him. SSS level talent. Optimizing talent. Optimizing talents. You can optimize your own genes by devouring the talents of the same race or foreign races, and then produce offspring with advanced talents. The accumulated energy can optimize the talents of the offspring to the SSS level at most. The consumption of each accumulated energy after that, they all need to be accumulated again. Indeed, from the perspective of talent alone, this optimization talent is indeed not suitable for Su Mu. He is not a rooster that lays eggs. Well, it seems that this is not a good description. Su Mu shook her head. However, judging from the introduction of this talent, it can be seen that Mr. Zhang has obviously thought about Su Mu. With this talent, then there should be many sky-swallowing ants among the sky-swallowing ant clan who can awaken SSS level talents. Teacher, this place is perfect for me. Su Mu looked at the huge mouth of the abyss with some excitement. As long as you like it, should you come first, or should I help you, fight all the way to the right place and then throw it over? Mr. Zhang smiled. Su Mu heard this and said, Teacher, let me try it myself first. Hear the words. Mr. Zhang nodded. The next moment, it appeared below. After putting Su Mu down, Mr. Zhang also disappeared. Before leaving, he left a message, Xiao Mu, it's up to you. After falling into the sky-swallowing valley, Su Mu holds a long sword. His eyes quickly glanced around. And that's when he appeared. The surroundings suddenly started to commotion. From the grass, a big ant the size of a wolf dog sprang out. The ant's black eyes, the moment he saw Su Mu. It seemed like he was stunned for a moment. Next moment, he didn't even give Su Mu time to react before he pounced on Su Mu. Seeing this, Su Mu quickly used space manipulation and stepped aside. At this time, he could clearly see the information about the sky-devouring ant in front of him. Race: Sky-devouring ant tribe. Vitality value: 273,223, early stage for warriors in the 4 realms. Talent: D level, crazy bite. Habits: living in the Tiantian Valley, the battlefield of all races. Weakness: jaw. Seeing the information about this sky-devouring ant clan, Su Mu felt her scalp numb. He hasn't gone inside yet. You're going to give me an early stage warrior of the 4 realms at the beginning. However, Su Mu felt relieved when she thought that the sky-swallowing ant clan could be ranked over 700. Let me try and see how big the gap is between me and the foreign warriors of the 4 realms. Of course, copying talent requires copying. But Su Mu will not miss any opportunity to increase her combat experience. Su Mu's expression became serious. Extreme night sky. Open. A ball of flame, mixed with a force as black as ink, wrapped around Su Mu's long sword. Su Mu's figure flashed, and the next moment, she appeared on top of the sky-devouring ant. PFF'd. Pong. Ding 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 ding. Ding, you have been killed by the sky-devouring ant tribe. The copy was successful. Congratulations on obtaining the D-level talent, Crazy Bite. Come again. ... Ding, you have been killed by the sky-devouring ant clan. The copy was successful. Congratulations on getting the C-level talent, 10 times the power. Come again. ... Ding, you have been killed by the sky-devouring ant clan. The copy was successful. Congratulations on getting the C-level talent, 10 times speed. After dying countless times, when Mr. Zhang asked Su Mu again whether he should choose to do it by himself or him to help him, Su Mu decisively changed her words. Teacher, please take me with you. There are 4 realms and 5 realms below. There is no way to go in. Seeing Su Mu looking defeated, Mr. Zhang couldn't help laughing. Okay, I'm here to help you. Mr. Zhang took Su Mu directly to the Tiantian Valley. As soon as it landed, a sky-devouring ant appeared in their sight. Su Mu glanced at it. Haha, it's that D-level talented sky-devouring ant. Teacher, do it. I don't know if I heard Su Mu's voice. It was the sky-devouring ant that made some moves. The sky-devouring ant was about to pounce towards the 2 of them. But it was less than 10 meters away from the 2 of them. The body of the sky-devouring ant suddenly exploded. On the other hand, Mr. Zhang looked like he had done nothing. Looking at Mr. Zhang on the side, Su Mu couldn't help but sigh. He is worthy of being a strong man in the 9 realms. Fighting these sky-devouring ants is just like playing. With the help of Mr. Zhang, Su Mu pushed forward. Ding, you have been killed by the sky-devouring ant clan. The copy was successful. Congratulations on obtaining the B-level talent, Spiritual Penetration. Ding, you have been killed by the sky-devouring ant clan. The copy was successful. Congratulations on obtaining the A-level talent, Spiritual Barrier. Ding, you have been killed by the sky-devouring ant clan, and the copy was successful. Congratulations on obtaining the S-level talent, Spiritual Power. As Mr. Zhang opened the way, the number of Su Emu's talents almost skyrocketed at an extremely fast speed. Seeing the mental talent, Su Mu turned to look at Mr. Zhang and said, "Teacher, just throw me over." And his death is naturally not meaningless. After many deaths, now his spiritual talents have been gathered together. Plan: S-level talent, Spiritual Source Power plus A-level talent, Mental Barrier, Mental Bewitchment, plus B-level talent, Spiritual Penetration, equals SS-level talent, Divine Control. SS-level talent, Divine Control. Divine Control Technique. Greatly improve your mental power. You can use your mental power to attack the opponent. If your mental power is not lower than the opponent's level, you can directly control the opponent. The greater the difference in strength, the shorter the time you can control. If the mental power is one level lower than the opponent's, you can temporarily use your mental power to influence the opponent's actions. The greater the strength gap, the smaller the impact. A talent that directly increased Su Emu's mental power by nearly 7,000 points, allowing Su Emu's mental power to reach the late stage of the second realm warrior in one fell swoop. Although the blood value of the sky-devouring ant is high, its mental level should not be high, right? Teacher, put me down, I want to hit 10. Su Emu's improvement in Tiantian Valley was huge. The most important thing is that through his constant deaths at the hands of sky-devouring ants with spiritual talents, he was directly fused with an SS-level talent, Divine Control. The name has been changed, the previous one did not meet the setting of this level. The Divine Control technique directly raised his mental power to the late stage of a second-level warrior, and it also contained many means of using mental power. For ordinary people, the improvement of mental power may be at best a means to attack others, or a means to defend against other people's mental attacks. But for Su Mu, it means an extremely large number of retracements. With his current mental strength, the number of retracements has skyrocketed to thousands of times. In addition to the sharp increase in the number of retracements, Su Emu's use of mental power has obviously reached a new level. More than 8,000 points of mental power. Facing alien races like the sky-devouring ant tribe whose mental power generally does not exceed the late stage of the third realm, Su Mu can almost crush them and kill them directly. Sure enough, constantly acquiring new talents is the fastest way to improve your strength. However, even with this soaring mental power, he still has the attack method of Divine Control. Su Mu could barely reach the middle of the Tiantian Valley. The closer you get to the depths of Tiantian Valley, the greater the number of sky-devouring ants. As for the huge number of sky-devouring ants, even Su Mu spread his Divine Control technique with the help of the overlapping sword chant. It is impossible to kill so many sky-devouring ants in a short period of time. While he was killing one or two sky-devouring ants, dozens or hundreds of sky-devouring ants were already rushing towards him. After dying more than a dozen times, I was sure that I really had no way to move forward with my own strength. Su Mu hugged Mr. Zhang's thigh again. After dying countless times, Su Mu finally found her goal. Race: Sky-devouring ant tribe. Qi and blood value: 1,727,223, 6th realm warrior early stage. Talent: SSS level, swallowing heaven and earth. Habits: living in the Tiantian Valley, the battlefield of all races. Weakness: jaw. I don't know if it's because Su Mu died too many times, during which time Deep Blue had already analyzed some of the talents of the sky-eating ant clan. When seeing the sky-devouring ant clan, its talent was not something that was common to be analyzed. But the SSS level talent, devouring heaven and earth. Swallowing the sky and the earth is the most famous talent of the sky-swallowing ant clan. Naturally, this is also the biggest purpose of Su Emu's trip. Teacher, hear what Su Mu said. Mr. Zhang directly raised his hand and shot, using Su Mu as a cannonball, and rushed in the direction of the sky-eating ant. That sky-devouring ant is obviously not an ordinary thing. Dark eyes. After seeing Su Mu flying in his direction, He quickly opened the two large pliers on his head and clamped Su Emu's neck accurately. Su Mu, die. At the same time Su Mu died. Su Mu also got what he wanted successfully. Ding, you have been killed by the sky-swallowing ant tribe and have been copied successfully. Congratulations on getting the SSS level talent, devouring the sky and the earth. SSS level talent, devouring heaven and earth. Swallow the sky and eat the earth. Everything in the world can be swallowed and eaten. It comes with the special ability of swallowing the sky. It can be used once in a while. After using the swallowing of the sky, it can swallow up to 3 realms of attacks and convert it into your own chi and blood value. Only after the complete conversion can you use the next swallowing of the sky. The speed of conversion changes with the improvement of strength. It comes with the special ability of eating the ground. The food and medicine eaten into the body can be absorbed and digested faster, 100 times. After reading the introduction of Swallowing Heaven and Shidi, Su Mu couldn't help being surprised. This swallowing of the sky and the earth is indeed one of the 2 most famous SSS level talents of the sky-swallowing ant tribe. This swallowing of the sky alone is already extremely powerful. It is almost equivalent to the fact that when you are in the early stage of the 6th realm, you can already block a blow from the enemy in the early stage of the 9th realm. And he can also convert this blow into blood value to enhance his strength. This is not only equivalent to a super defense method, but also means a good opportunity to collect wool. Su Mu doesn't care that much about defensive methods. But it doesn't matter, Su Mu can use this ability to pick off the wool of those who are almost 3 realms higher than him. Let them hit you with all their strength, activate Sky Devouring, eat their attacks, turn around and slowly digest them, and convert them into your own energy and blood. How much energy and blood do you need to save? In addition to swallowing the sky, eating the ground is also a very useful talent for Su Mu. It's simply a super enhanced version of the acceleration absorbing version that Su Mu obtained before. With the help of absorption acceleration, Su Emu's strength has improved rapidly. Now that he has this food that swallows the world, it is equivalent to that when he eats, he will digest it very quickly, then absorb it, and convert it into the chi and blood value in Su Emu's body. Originally, Su Mu might have taken 3 or 4 sets of chi and blood medicines a day without anything else, and that was basically the limit. After the absorption is accelerated, it is possible to reach about 10 sets of chi and blood medicines in a day. But now, after possessing the devouring heaven and earth, Su Mu estimates that it won't be a problem if she takes hundreds of chi and blood medicines a day. Yes, when the time comes, you will be practicing and stuffing it into your mouth at the same time. He was afraid that if he put it in a little late, he would finish digesting it immediately. And this terrifying digestion and absorption speed also means that in the early stage of Su Mu, when she relies solely on increasing her vitality and blood value, Su Emu's improvement speed will be very terrifying. As long as he has enough blood medicine and blood food, he is even sure that his strength will reach the peak of the 3 realms before the end of the training camp. You know, he is only at the peak of a first-level warrior. Even for a genius in the training camp, it would take a few years to advance from the peak of a first-level warrior to the peak of a second-level warrior. But for today's Su Mu, it may not be used for 10 days. It has to be said that this talent of swallowing heaven and earth is definitely one of the best among SSS-level talents. Take a long breath. The development of things once again advanced to the stage of swallowing the sky. After getting the talent of devouring heaven and earth, Su Emu's next search for talents was basically aimed at some sky-devouring ants that could be combined with her existing talents. And with the help of Mr. Zhang, Su Mu also followed all the way to the depths of Tiantian Valley. Deep in the Tiantian Valley, an extremely large queen ant was surrounded by a group of sky-devouring ants. Most of these sky-swallowing ants who protect the sky-swallowing ant queen have reached the level of 6-level warriors. And the sky-swallowing ant queen who was protected by them had reached the early stage of the 7th realm warrior. In addition to strength, what Su Mu is more concerned about are the 2 interfaces on the head of the sky-swallowing ant queen. Race: Sky-devouring ant tribe, queen ant, pregnant. Chi and blood value: 122,375,375, early stage of 7th realm warrior. Talent: SSS level, optimizing talent. Habits: living in the Tiantian Valley, the battlefield of all races. Weakness: Ja. Race. Sky-devouring ant tribe, ant king, waiting to be born. Vitality value. 1538.56 early stage for second realm warrior. Talent. To be analyzed. Habits. Living in the Tiantian Valley, the battlefield of all races. Weakness. Ja. Ant king. Su Mu clearly remembered that she learned some knowledge about the sky-eating ant clan during class. For the sky-swallowing ant queen who has optimization talent, the ant king she gave birth to will definitely have a top SSS level talent. And according to the information from Deep Blue, if the queen ant accumulates enough energy, this conceived ant king even has a small chance of awakening. X level talent. X level talent. It is extremely rare even among all races. As for the human race, it was not until the demise of the human race that such a person appeared. If we can find a way to get an EX level talent from here, it will definitely be a great help to Su Mu. Shenlin, can you analyze when this ant king was born? Master, according to the current data, it will take at least 1 to 3 years for the ant king to be born. This speed is related to the energy that the queen ant continues to swallow during this period. The more energy that is swallowed, the more time it takes. The less. Su Mu frowned. According to Shenlin, the birth of this ant king will take about a year at the earliest. At least it should be impossible to come to this ant king to brush up his talents in a short period of time. He glanced at the sky-devouring ant queens around him. I found that there was nothing particularly suitable for my talents. Su Mu directly asked Mr. Zhang to throw him down to hone his fighting skills. After killing about a dozen sky-swallowing ants, Su Mu finally died tragically in the mouth of a mid-level 5-level sky-swallowing ant. He also went back to the file again and behaved almost as before, until Mr. Zhang asked him. Xiao Mu, have you been to the 3 places I said I would take you to? I've already been to the first one, teacher. Hearing this, Mr. Zhang nodded. Turning to look at Lin Yi. In that case, old ghost Lin Yi, I can't stay on the battlefield of all races for too long, so I won't tell you the reason for the light just now. You must also know the reason for the light just now, so I and my disciple will leave first. Quote. Immediately, he grabbed Su Mu again and flew towards the depths of the battlefield of all races. Since I have taken you to the Tiantian Valley, I should take you to the Manju tribe next. Su Mu was a little confused. Teacher, could this barbarian giant tribe be the place where the barbarian giant clan lives? I remember that although their ranking among all races is higher than that of the sky-swallowing ant tribe, their awakened talents are not basically, they are all below S level, and few have SS level talents, let alone SSS level talents. Mr. Zhang nodded and said, not bad. Although the awakened talent level of the savage giants is generally not high, the reason why they are ranked higher among all races than the sky-devouring ants, even reaching 651, is what your teacher should tell you in class. Is there a reason? Su Mu nodded when he heard the words. It seems to be saying that because of their own physical constitution, the wild giant clan will increase its energy and blood very quickly. It is one of the few races among all races that can create a world solely by relying on its own martial arts realm and strength. The so-called alien race can defeat all laws with one force. To a large extent, it refers to a race like the wild giant race that respects its own strength and does not rely on talent. Quote. Mr. Zhang said with satisfaction. Well said, you have learned very solid theoretical knowledge. If I ask your senior brothers and sisters these questions, they may not be able to answer them right away. Su Mu smiled slightly. Teacher, you are overly complimentary. Just kidding, when I usually go back to work to kill time, the knowledge I learned with the help of Shen Lan was not in vain. Mr. Zhang continued. Although the awakened talents of the savage giants are generally not high, and most of them are talents in strength, speed, and physical enhancement, but this does not prevent them from being strong. They are huge in size, and like our human race, they can practice various types of body refining techniques, breathing techniques and martial arts. At the same level, even some alien races ranked in front of them may not be able to their opponents. And their eating habits are very similar to ours. They are one of the few neutral alien races among all races. As long as we humans don't take the initiative to provoke them, they will not attack us. Zhang Laoshan gave Su Mu some information about this wild giant tribe. The reason why I brought you here is precisely related to these factors. Su Mu also began to think after listening to Mr. Zhang's words. If they have the same eating habits as us, then they will definitely not feed on the same kind of food like other alien races. And if they are still neutral, we humans must not be their rations either. And their food. Su Mu suddenly thought of something and probed. Teacher, do you mean that our target is the food of these wild giants? Clever, Mr. Zhang said with a smile. The talents of the wild giants themselves are not worthy of your copying. However, these powerful wild giants will capture some powerful aliens and raise them in captivity as the rations for the whole clan. Moreover, because of the wild giants, the number of giants is huge, and they keep a lot of foreign races in captivity, and they continue to capture some foreign races from the battlefield of all races every day. Our target is the alien races that these wild giants have captured and raised in captivity. The wild giants have always believed that the more powerful the food, the more powerful they can bring them. Therefore, the alien races they capture are either powerful themselves or it's just that the talent is relatively strong. Su Mu frowned slightly. Teacher, can the wild giants see through the talents of other alien races? Zhang Lao laughed and said, the wild giants have a group of existences called sacrifices. Their awakened talents can help them identify which alien races have powerful talents, but they are not alien races that these wild alien races dare to provoke. At least, the barbarian giants would not dare to provoke foreign races ranked above 600. Not only the priests among the wild giants, whether it is our human race or among all races, there are not many talents that can see through the talents of others, but they are not few. Mr. Zhang looked at Su Mu. But your talent itself is X level, and the talent that can see through it is at least SSS level. This has basically eliminated most of the talents that can see through your talent. As for the rest, quote, now that this problem has been mentioned, we need to take precautions when we go to the third place. The teacher will provide you with a method here. Su Mu's eyes lit up. Originally, he was still thinking about how to prevent his talent from being detected by others besides the talent fog. After all, if he has so many talents, if someone else discovers his talents, it will not be an irreversible thing for him, but it will be a bit tricky. Please give me some advice, teacher. Su Mu asked. Mr. Zhang chuckled. This has to mention Linye Laogui's extreme night canopy. If you use this talent to wrap it around you, you will put a layer of extreme night canopy on yourself. So even if it is SSS super talents can't see through your own talents. You can use this talent in normal times. The only thing you need to pay attention to is not to use it in front of old ghost Lin Yi. This is why I didn't say it just now. After all, old ghost Lin Yi also after using this talent for so many years, I am particularly sensitive to this aura. Mr. Zhang added. However, it doesn't matter if he finds out. I'll fool him later. If it doesn't work, you can go back. It won't be a big problem. Just saying. A huge plane has appeared ahead. On the line just exposed on the plane, densely packed star points appeared. When I looked carefully, I realized that they were firelight. There is the Manju tribe. The giant tribe. Looking at the huge tents scattered across the plain, Su Mu's eyes lit up. To be honest, the buildings of the Manju tribe are extremely magnificent. The tents are made of unknown foreign furs. The shortest tent is at least 7 or 8 meters tall. In the center of the tribe, there is a huge building that towers into the clouds and can't be seen at all. Su Mu knew that the huge building was the Babel Tower of the Manju tribe. Generally, the Manju tribe's sacrifices were held on this Babel Tower. Xiao Mu, wrap yourself in the extreme night canopy. This is also a method of using the extreme night canopy. The old ghost Lin Yi often uses this method to sneak into the rear of the alien race. Mr. Zhang pointed out Su Mu. Su Mu nodded quickly when she heard this. Okay, teacher. Su Mu tried to wrap herself up in the polar night sky. Just forming a layer of polar night sky outside itself is not a difficult thing for the current Su Mu. After the polar night sky enveloped Su Mu's breath disappeared instantly. Except Su Mu can be seen with the naked eye. Simply relying on induction, you can't sense the existence of Su Mu at all. No wonder Mr. Zhang said that the potential of this polar night sky curtain is extremely high and its uses are really endless. Fortunately, Mr. Zhang is beside him. He is a close friend with Commander Linye, a strong man who has owned Jia Tianmu for most of his life. If it were another person, unless it was Commander Lin Yi himself, he might not be able to teach Sumu so many wonderful uses of the extreme night canopy. Under the leadership of Mr. Zhang, Sumu quickly sneaked into this giant tribe. Boom! The wild giant is quite huge, about 4 to 5 meters tall, and can make a thumping sound when walking on the road. However, the purpose of Sumu and others' trip was not these wild giants. Just be careful to avoid these wild giants. Soon, Sumu and Mr. Zhang arrived at the breeding area inside the wild giant tribe. The entire breeding area is actually surrounded by trees. Around the breeding area, giants 4 to 5 meters tall patrolled back and forth holding huge sticks made of unknown alien leg bones. Roar! A wild giant didn't know why he was so crazy, and suddenly roared at the sky. Suddenly a huge wave of air spread towards the surroundings. The loud noise made Sumu frown slightly. The power of these wild giants is inseparable from their huge size. A slight movement may produce powerful power. Moreover, don't think that because these wild giants are huge, they must move slowly. The speed of some of these wild giants is not inferior to that of humans in the same realm. Humans of the same realm have little chance of defeating such a behemoth. If such a behemoth is thrown onto the battlefield, it will produce unimaginable destructive power. To be honest, the human race should be grateful that such a race is in a neutral camp, otherwise, if it is on a real battlefield. This race is definitely the race that the human race needs to solve first. Sumu even asked Shenlan to release information about the wild giant not far away. Race: Savage Giant Race. Vitality value: 5,335,725. Middle stage of the 5th realm warrior. Talent: D level, strength enhancement. Habits: living in a giant tribe on the battlefield of thousands of races. Weakness: eyes. Fortunately, Sumu and Mr. Zhang are not big, and they can hide. Therefore, we successfully avoided the patrols of the wild giants and successfully entered their breeding area. After entering the wild giants' breeding area, only then did Sumu truly understand why Mr. Zhang chose this second place. Teacher, am I right? That is the blue-eyed Zhan Zhao. This race is closely related to the Dragon Clan. Although its strength is far inferior to that of the Dragon Clan, it is still a foreign race with more than 610 members. I didn't expect it. He was captured by the wild giants. The powerful apes. They are still 2 meters tall, but in front of those wild giants, they are just like little chickens. Let me go, the wild giants are really powerful. They have captured so many shadow cheetahs. Foreign races like the shadow cheetahs are frighteningly fast and are extremely good at hiding. I don't know how these wild giants caught them. After lamenting the power of a wave of wild giants, Sumu also quickly found her goal. Ding, you have been killed by the Shadow Cheetah clan. The copy was successful. Congratulations on getting the SS level talent, Shadow Monarch. Ding, you have been killed by the Barbarian Bull clan, and the copy was successful. Congratulations on getting the SS level talent, Barbarian Bull Divine Power. Ding, you have been killed by the blue-eyed Zhan Zhao clan and successfully copied. Congratulations on obtaining the SS level talent, 10,000 Poison Monarchs. In less than a moment, Sumu has copied a lot of talents. Among them, the lowest talent level is S level, while the higher ones reach SS level. The only thing that made Sumu feel a little disappointed was that after scanning a large circle, she couldn't copy a foreign race with SSS level talent. This can only be blamed on Suemu's own bad luck. According to Mr. Zhang, the breeding area of the wild giants is not filled with these alien races every day. Basically, every now and then, a few foreign races will be lost, and then a few more foreign races will be added. A foreign race with SSS level talents would most likely have been eaten by the wild giants before Sumu arrived. Because of this kind of talented alien race, in the eyes of the wild giants, they are the best ingredients. The giant tribe was swept away. Sumu went back to the time of making a choice again. Xiaomu, have you been to the 3 places I said I would take you to? Teacher, I have been to the first and second ones. Sumu answered Mr. Zhang's question. A look of surprise flashed across Mr. Zhang's face. This feeling that I have no memory at all and can only judge by the other party's behavior is quite strange even for Mr. Zhang himself. But he didn't ask any more questions. since Su Mu said that he has been to the first 2 places. Then he would just take Su Mu to the 3rd place. This 3rd place is called Tianyan Mountain. As the name suggests, people from the Tianyan tribe live there. The talent of the Sky Eye clan is very simple, but it should be of great use to you. Their talent is an SSS level talent, the Divine Eye of Heaven, which is said to be able to see through all SSS level talents. On this trip, I will take you to the Tianyan Mountain. The goal is this talent. You will definitely have to copy a lot of talents in the future. There is no need to waste time on some useless talents. And if you have the Divine Eyes of Heaven, it will be more convenient to find talents. Moreover, Tiandao Divine Eyes also have many wonderful uses. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.